Important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this Degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom. So where you can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto degenerates, ducks and squirrels, welcome to this here Whiskey Wednesday for the 9th of October, year of our Lord 2024. We stand on the precipice of greatness and craziness. We've got some fantastic panelists tonight. We're going to have some cool ass discussions about the new things happening in cryptocurrency and also the stuff going on down there on the coast of Florida. Hurricane Milton is set to touch down in the next 2 hours or so, so we might be streaming live while that is happening. So
it's touching down already, buddy.
Oh yeah, it's already down. Oh shit. Well,
I don't know if the eye is over the coast yet. That's what they considered touchdown. But the worst of the hurricane, the wall of the eye, is already on land in St. Pete and Tampa, and it's wreaking havoc.
Well, our prayers go out to all the folks that are over there. We hope, I doubt that you guys are listening to the Degen Roundtable streaming right now, but for anyone that's in the near area, or if you haven't heard about it, then last chance to heave to before this storm goes your way. But we're going to go ahead and introduce our beautiful and wonderful panelists tonight. For the folks at home that don't know, my name is Will Stevenson. I'm one of the hosts of the Degen Roundtable. I travel the States doing ironworking, and in my free time, I like to stream and talk crypto with some knuckleheads on the internet. Speaking of, we got some excellent knuckleheads right here, right now. We've got Chocolate Taints, one of the original founding members of the Degen Roundtable. We've got Nate McGettit. He is also, actually, we're all original founders of the Degen Roundtable here, but Chocolate Taints, he focuses a lot on macroeconomics, things going on in the political sphere, and stuff of that nature. And recently, he's been going through some fantastic body transformation. Broski, you've done some excellent improvements. Can we get a flex for the folks at home so we can see how excellent you are looking? Oh, scoot over a little bit so that way. Yeah, fuck yeah, bro, dude, you're looking good. Love to see it. But yeah, welcome to the show, Josh. I'll give you a moment to introduce yourself after I kind of introduce everybody. We've also got Nate McGettit. Nate is our I got to figure out a better way to say it than like you've got your tendrils spread out. And
he's like our farmhand.
Nate's our farmhand, actually. Yeah, I like your hairdo that you got going on today, broski. But Nate dabbles and he reaches out and he goes into all the different little communities that are across the space and all the different Telegram groups. He's figuring out what's going on in like all the different little ecosystems, all the different little pulse chain cabals and things, and all the stuff going on other stuff. And his specialty is creating money printers and focusing on things of that nature. And then we've also got Brendan, our macroeconomics specialist down in Miami, streaming, coming at us live from not quite where the hurricane's at, but definitely very close to this stuff going on. Brendan focuses a lot on macroeconomics as well and stuff going on the large echelon political sphere. And we're all going to talk about some excellent things. So, gentlemen, can you give yourself a brief introduction and cover the stuff that I've missed? Starting with you, Chocolate Taints. What's new and exciting with you, amigo? Good to see you.
What's going on, fam? It's good to be on. Drinking a little Tito's and cranberry. Shout out to Nate. I know Nate likes the Tito's over there, so figured I'd hop on. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been on a Whiskey Wednesday, man. So I figured it was a good opportunity. I mean, I was sitting around watching Tampa and St. Pete almost get blown off the map. So figured, hey, go ahead and hop on stream and catch up with you guys. Life's going good, man. Life's super busy. You know, my daughter started homeschool this year, so things are going great there. And yeah, man, just enjoying life, getting as healthy as possible, and really enjoying the renewed energy that I have, and just, you know, the confidence that I'm building from it. So, but yeah, looking forward to a good conversation. It's going to be great. Appreciate it, Centurion. Good to see you, man. Yeah, looking forward to it, man. It's going to be good. Nate, what's going on with you, bud?
Well, last night I broke my foot.
My goodness.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Was it fun?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. You know, being screaming in pain, watching my child give me a new expression I haven't seen before.
What?
It was more like it was a quick yell, and then the fact that I was writhing in pain was like, he was worried about me, which is kind of adorable when you see your child is like, "Whoa, daddy's in a lot of pain," and he just, you know, it's like, it's interesting. But yeah, because of that, I actually had to call in to work. The first time I've called in I want to say 2 years.
I would say it's pretty appropriate to call in sick when you have a broken foot.
Possibly. But yeah, I called in to work, right? And I found myself not being able to literally walk around. And so I've been at the computer all day doing all the like just stuff on the computer and all that. I'm going through X. I'm going through a lot of different data on chain and all that. And I think I'm at like somewhere between 14 and 15 different tweets right now of stuff that is actually important. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on, checking out what's going on in the politosphere, and as well as what's going on with the hurricane, right? Because that's incredible. So yeah, there's been a lot of data, and there also, you know, some behind the scenes stuff with DRT as well. So yeah, I've been a freaking nerd sitting here all day. But other than that, yeah, I would say go over and check out the tweets I've made. There's a lot of interesting things. Actually, I could talk about some of the cool stuff I've been finding and some of the new ideas I've been kind of formulating just in today alone. There would be some really interesting things to talk about, frankly. But I mean, enough about what the hell's going on here. Brendan, can you go ahead and give us what the hell is new with you and how are you doing?
Nothing, man. Everything's good. Good to see you, Josh. Always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. Nothing new here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to say too, Josh, you are looking like.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Nate says he'd but yeah, so nothing really new with me. You already gave me a good introduction. Well, just my prayers go out to the people that are affected by, you know, first Helene, the first hurricane in North Carolina, which we've already mentioned, and now to Milton, and, you know, two really terrible storms causing issues in our country. And so that's really what my mind's been at today, just kind of praying for the people over there. I know a lot of people have evacuated, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to come back to no house, no home, no possessions. And that's not easy. And it takes a long time to get, you know, your insurance to give you money to build a new house, you know, insurance to give you money to buy new clothing and anything else that you need, much less than, like, you know, some people are out of jobs because the businesses that they worked for don't exist anymore, or they're crippled by the storm. And so, you know, the effects of the hurricane aren't just, you know, for the people there that may lose their lives or be injured, but it's, you know, a long lasting effect that just been keeping in my mind. And I do hear the wind outside a little bit here, but we're not going to get too bad, if anything at all. So really just that's all. It's where my mind's at. Will, you still with us?
That area just got slammed by. Yeah, Will, you're frozen there, bud.
Oh no! Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, Josh, what were you saying?
That area just got hit literally 2 weeks ago to the.
Yeah, they got brushed by Helene.
You know what I'm saying? And now it's like, you know, they had to rush to get some of the cleanup effort underway just to be able to solidify the evacuation routes and all that stuff.
Which honestly, yeah, I mean, look, I saw pictures all over the place where there's pile of trash outside dozens and dozens of people's homes. And all that turns into is missiles when there's a hurricane. So that's going to be up in the air, flying around, causing damage. And, I don't want to say that it's kind of those municipalities and those counties failing their people by not getting that trash cleaned up in 2 weeks. But they kind of did. They kind of failed the people there a little bit. But I know there's only limited resources in those small areas on islands. How you get trash off the island by boat, things like that. So I know that there's more to it than just, hey, we didn't have enough people, but resources and how to actually get stuff off the islands and some of those peninsulas is very challenging. But it's going to cause more damage because the issue with hurricane is less. I won't say less about the winds, but it's more about what the wind picks up and turns into a missile. And that's actually what causes the damage in hurricanes. And it's that impact from all of that debris that circles and shoots out of the hurricane in these high winds. And so that's going to cause a lot of damage to those areas.
I actually have a short video, Mrs. Producer, if you wouldn't mind pulling up my screen share. Let's see if, let me know real quick, guys, if you guys can hear audio on this.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, we got it.
In Florida, this is what we do to help get things ready for a hurricane. What I did here is I took down half of my fence, kind of reduces windage. We throw everything in the pool that can be a missile, like this gazebo. This is like, I don't know, it's the 12 by 14 gazebo or something like that. We put all our lawn chairs, tables, umbrellas, all that kind of stuff. And here you can see in the back, I reduced windage back here, but most importantly, you got to have the Hex shirt up there that helps prevent this whole area.
I love it.
It's gonna spread the word.
And we'll keep everything operating around here flawlessly and only to the upside. So we're pretty lucky here that we have this. And we're going to be in the eye of the storm. And we'll be sending you some more videos later on.
And that's all I've got for that. So if you guys happen to have a Hex shirt, it will help keep your area flawlessly operating during this hurricane and things. Mrs. Producer, we can go ahead and take down my screen share whenever you are ready. Oh, actually, you know what? If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and bring it back up again. I'm going to switch to another tab for so this is what's going on with Hurricane Milton. For those of you guys that don't know, I just went and pulled up the Hurricane Milton tracker. It's looking like these are the paths that it's going to take. All of the projected area. Since she's already touched down land, you guys can see here the little Bay of Tampa.
Oh damn, that's hitting Florida pretty
hard.
Yeah,
they're getting struck right on the edge, like where it's the most crazy and everything. And all the people that are in the red zone, that's the eye of the storm, as Brendan was saying earlier. So there's some serious stuff going on there. So hopefully everyone is prepped and ready, and there's plenty of food service, and they can unclog the interstates in a timely fashion, enough for people to get to safety and do other things. And that's all I have for screen share, Mrs. Producer. We can go ahead and bring it back to regular show stuff. But
I had a question real quick. Brendan, are there any big hurricanes that you've been through down in Miami?
No, what's funny is Miami has always been sort of the epicenter of hurricanes, or what people think of where hurricanes hit. But I don't know if it's changing patterns globally. I don't know if it's how the weather is affecting these storms in the Atlantic, but or in the Gulf. But Miami hasn't been hit in probably 10 plus years. When I first moved down here, I was driving down, and we were supposed to get a hurricane, like a Category 4, hit the day after I get here. And so I'm figuring I'm going to have to get here and then drive over to the west coast of Florida to escape the hurricane. But within a day, it took a huge shift, and it hit the up the coast in the Carolinas. And I know that happened one other time about 9 years ago here in Miami, but yeah, we haven't had even a tropical storm since I moved here. Now, we get flooding easily. I mean, we did have a storm a couple months ago where we got about a foot of rain, and there were parts of Fort Lauderdale that got 20 inches of rain. But there were no winds associated with that. Just a bit of flooding. But again, we're kind of used to the flooding. Like where I live, they literally have pumps underneath the ground that pump the water out of the streets once the storm's done. So doesn't mean that it can't damage a lot of things. But no, haven't had any hurricanes.
I think I'm cutting in and out. Can you guys still hear me?
We hear you fine, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, excellent. I missed most of what you said, Brendan. I presume you were talking about the difference between Miami and other parts of Florida and hurricanes and things.
He was just asking if I ever got a hurricane here in Miami, and I said they're not. They haven't been hitting in Miami. They've been hitting up the coast or in the Gulf, and I don't know if that's from the changing weather patterns or not, but it's a good chance it is.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing well down there, and that your time in Miami has so far been hurricaneless and things of that nature. Some other things that are some topics of conversation. So, Nate, I do plan on asking you about your tweets at some point, and then Josh, I'm curious to pick your brain a little bit more on the homeschooling stuff that you've done, because that's something that I'm super duper interested in when it comes to child rearing and education stuff. But before we get to all of that, and then there's some other little fun headlines and articles and things that I've seen, some topics of conversation we can get. Before we get to any of that, though, we're gonna do some motherfucking chat shoutouts where we call out to you, all you there in the audience listening to us live and giving us your thoughts. We're going to give you guys some feedback as you give us some feedback. So, Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and bring up some of these. We've got our first in the house tonight. We've got none other than Funk Master Hex. Ladies and indeed, gentlemen, good evening. Good evening to you too, sir. Oh, and by the way, I think I don't know if I've asked you guys on the panel yet. Are you drinking anything? I just poured myself a delicious cup of coffee that's also got vodka in it. So that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm doing a little bit of the mix and match. Josh, are you sipping on anything?
Vodka cranberry, you missed it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Vodka
Tito's and cranberry.
Yep,
Shout out to
shame on
Nate.
me. Yes. Nate, you got something over there? Taking some
Yeah,
pain,
and
man?
I got the raspberry Mountain Dew and Tito's.
Okay. And then Brendan, you are medicating with pain stuff. Or are you drinking as well?
No drinking. Yeah, probably gonna be off the bottle for a few weeks while I recover. I gotta just cut it completely right now. So
that is the responsible thing to do.
We're being responsible and we're drinking water. Go American soccer.
Hooray, soccer. Excellent. All right. Mr. Producer, we'll continue right on with chat shoutouts, if you please. Up next, we've got Wonderwolf IO. Happy Wednesday, all. Happy Wednesday to you too, Mr. Wonderwolf. I guess it would be Wednesday. I presume that you're of Germanic descent or something like that. Excellent. Next up, we've got Kenturian 54X. Ahoy, Degens. Ahoy to you too, good sir. I had an excellent time, by the way, playing some Sea of Thieves last night with Jeff, Apex Hex 369, and also Dace Northal from the Degen Roundtable. We hopped on a brigantine in Sea of Thieves, and we were rolling around the seas, and man, we had a lot of fun. We killed a lot of skeletons. We took over a whole bunch of other players' ships. We just sank a whole bunch of other teams and stole their treasure. It was kind of fun. It was also kind of like a SEAL clubbing adventure, because we were going against some very unsophisticated pirates. But we would have loved to have you, Mr. Kenturian. So ahoy to you too. Good. We will have the entire Degen Roundtable crew sailing the high seas together, singing shanties and digging up treasure and going and digging up the booty and everything. Up next in chat shoutouts, we have my very own brother, the wonderful Samuel Stevenson. Like that smash button. I couldn't agree more. Go ahead and like that smash button, everybody. Give it a click. That's the only thing that we ask you to do right now, is to like that smash button. I don't know if it does anything. It might just be a vanity metric, but I like seeing it clicked, and I like telling you guys to do it. So like that smash button. Good to see you, brother. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you and your support. Next up, we've got Tam saying, "What's up, fam? What's up to you too, Tam? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. #1 cryptocurrency cheerleader in the space. Good to have you." After that, we've got our very own moon-pilled Rational Optics, Degens Assemble with the Brewskis. I met this gentleman in real life. Super cool cat. Highly recommend that if you guys ever develop a cool relationship with him online, you reach out and hang out with him. Totally worth it. Super awesome dude. In fact, I hung out with him right before going and seeing you, Mr. Josh. So that was a great time. Up next, we've got Frank White. Bang, bang, Degen gang. Bang, bang to you too, good sir. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. Next up, we've got the Clintrons or the Clintons or the Clintrons. Maybe this is Bill Clinton is the one who is actually Justin's son. Bill Clinton is the creator of Tron. But he says, "Good day, Degen crew. Good day to you too, sir. I'm presuming you're from the land down under, so good to have you. Always great to have the Aussies on stream. I love you guys. Y'all are freaking awesome." Speaking of loving people and awesome people, we've got Farmer J, the Brown 310 West Up Degens, West Side represent. The West Coast is the best coast.
East Side.
You will get no argument from me. Now this is regarding beauty and nature, not the people. As far as people goes, East Coast is way better for sure.
Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All those national parks on the West Coast,
Yep.
phenomenal.
Yep.
The shit on the street, phenomenal, beautiful, it's gorgeous.
The shit on the
people in the
street.
East Coast a little better, yeah.
Yeah, the East Coast has Florida, it has Florida, it has North Carolina, it has New Hampshire, it has Maine, and I guess there's a couple places in between those that are pretty okay at times. But I'm a big fan of Florida, I'm a big fan of North Carolina, and I'm a big fan of the super far Northeast. Not so much the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts area. I mean, they're all right, but I don't like to dilly-dally there any longer than I need to. So shout out to you, Farmer Jay. Good to see you, bro. Welcome to the stream. I'm stoked to do this the stream with you on for book club on Friday. We're going to be covering some a red pill-ish book written by someone in the space. So it's going to be a good time. Next up in the chat shoutouts, we have Just Live. Hey, ladies. Hey to you too, lady. I don't know if you're a lady or a man, but good to see you, amigo, amiguette. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you. And then next up, we've got Sandy Beach with the very own Sandy Beach emoji. I like that you found this emoji, Sandy. That's fucking awesome. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you. Oh, and it appears that Miss Sandy Beach is drinking a strawberry margarita. So good choice. I am a big fan of
After a few
strawberry margaritas.
beers.
Yep. Ooh, there we go. That's a good. Yeah, we don't want to mix the liquor and the beers if we can avoid it.
Well, actually, Will, down here in Miami, they have something called the Coronita. And
oh yeah, where they flip
their
it up and
mini
down?
Coronas get upside down in your margarita. So beer and margaritas are a thing, believe it or not.
Sounds good.
I have seen those. I've never tried one. But I will.
They're
I
very
will yield to your
popular down here. Yeah, you know, with tourists
Excellent.
and things. But
Speaking of popular and speaking of excellent, we've got Mr. Beyond All saying, "How is defending going on Degen Arena?" I'm not sure what what he means, but we're degenning over here, and we're defending the title of being degens. So we will always be the Degen Roundtable, and you guys can always find us here drinking and having a good time and just being general degenerates. Sandy Beach apparently likes both coasts, so I can agree to that, Sandy. I think that I do think that the West Coast is the best coast, and it also rhymes. So there's that. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and hop on into some topics of conversation. I want to keep it personal a little bit before we go into the news stuff. For the news stuff, the first thing I want to talk about is HBO's new documentary that's come out. If you guys haven't heard about that, but before we get into the whole Satoshi Nakamoto from the legacy corporate press, we're going to talk about I want to talk about homeschooling, Josh, and then Nate, I want to cover some of the tweets that you were speaking of and kind of pick your brain on some of those. But Josh, regarding homeschooling, so you have a daughter and she made the transition from private. Was she in a private school or was she in a public school before the
No,
homeschooling?
she was in a Baltimore County public school. That's where.
Okay.
Yeah. So she went straight from a school system. Luckily, I mean, Will, you know this. I'm pretty sure I've let the other guys on the team know this also. I have a very cordial relationship with my ex-wife. It's awesome. It's a very cordial relationship. Luckily, we're in a position where my daughter's grandmother is retired. She used to be a teacher, so she's in a position now where she can really sort of focus one-on-one with our daughter. It wasn't anything like my daughter had any sort of learning disability. Like, she's a smart kid, you know what I'm saying? But what kid doesn't really benefit from like one-on-one attention? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The problem that me and my ex-wife started to see in the Baltimore County schools, which I'm sure it's all over the country, all the public schools across the country, is classrooms get bigger and there's less and less attention put individually on students, especially when they're in that elementary school phase. They can only move as fast as the slowest student can progress. And at that age, you got a lot of kids that are still very immature. My daughter's 8, so she started 3rd grade this year. You got a lot of kids that they have broken homes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they might not get the discipline and how to respond and how to behave in public. So, they might be nuisances. And think about it. What 6-7-year-old boy, running around, with, a lot of energy and stuff like that isn't going to somewhat be a distraction. And girls too, definitely. You know what I'm saying? But there was some disciplinary issues when it came to kids in my daughter's classes in 1st and 2nd grade.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's so like socialized, I guess is the best way to put it. Like there's not the emphasis on individual. So we were lucky enough to be in a position where her grandmother has the ability to do it. So it's really learning at her pace and really their schedule. Like it's awesome. They'll do school on the weekends, you know what I'm saying? But they might only do school for 4 hours a day, because they do some sort of learning thing. Mondays is great. Mondays is home ec. I think it's extremely important for young girls to start learning those skills. You know what I'm saying? So even when she comes over to my house, whenever she wants to, Friday nights, she's going downstairs. She's helping me with laundry. She's folding her own clothes. Monday night, she's cooking dinner. 2 weeks ago, she helped my ex-wife cook some loaded nachos, which are absolutely amazing. So her goal by the end of 3rd grade in May and June is to be able to cook an entire meal. So that's going to be her home ec goal, to be able to do that. But I'm telling you, this kid's skills with a knife, like she's already cutting steak just like an adult does. You know what I'm saying? And I know kids that are older than my daughter that won't eat nothing but chicken nuggets and stuff like that. So, really trying to focus on, improving her palate, giving her the skills to not only learn, the math, the writing. She's learning cursive too. I don't even think they're teaching cursive anymore. I know. I don't even think they are. I think the Baltimore County schools went away with it. I'm not sure exactly, but I think that's the case. But she's learning cursive. She's doing her arithmetic. She's doing her writing and her reading and all that stuff. Plus, we're putting the home economic portion on it early so she can start learning that stuff. So yeah, it's been super beneficial. If anybody's in a position to do it, I think it's important to do it because it's so easy, especially today for, because we're stuck in a 2-income system because that's just how the economy is nowadays, where parents really don't have that much time to be able to, when they should, but they really don't have the ability to really focus on their kids' education. And a lot of times it's a lot easier to just shove them off to school at 8:30 in the morning, pick them up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and just trust some local government employees who have their own problems going on in life to educate their kids. So I think it's extremely important to take an active role in your kids' learning. And even if that's supplementing, after school, even if it's supplementing, if they are going to public school, adding, an additional course or two here and there, depending on what their likes are, where they need to focus, where they need to improve and stuff like that. And, where they're interested. My daughter absolutely loves gymnastics and stuff. So we made it a point to where when she does her PE credits, she's going to her gymnastics studio during the day for a homeschool program. She's climbing rock walls. She's doing all this stuff. Plus she gets to focus on the stuff that she likes and really get to exercise that feminine energy that she has, which I think is extremely important.
That's awesome, bro. I love to hear it. I'm a big fan, and we got Clintrons in the chat as well saying, Mrs. Producer, would you mind pulling up their comment that made at 7:26? I think. Oh, excuse me. No, Mrs. Producer is away at the moment. But Mr. Clintron said that homeschool is the way, folks. We're 3 years in. It's the best. I couldn't agree more. I don't have any children that I know of. So I don't know. I don't know if what all the exact things are that are wrong with the public school from my own personal anecdotal experience. But I do know that I'm not fond of the idea of essentially a public school government babysitting agency teaching my kids the important things in life during the most formative years without some sort of supervision, or like you were saying, there being disciplinary problems. There's a statistic that I'd heard quoted by Michael Malice, an anarchist libertarian who focuses a lot on education and stuff. And what he says oftentimes is that public schools are one of, like, in the Western world, public schools are one of the areas where people will experience the most violence, or the most like physical altercations that they will in like their entire lives. Public schools have more bullying, they have more like beat ups on the playground, they have more like scuffles and problems because of just because of like the numbers game. You know, the ratio of teachers to students is so askew, and also the amount of undercutting and authority and disciplinary powers that's being authorized to teachers and stuff, that it makes it like a very dangerous place, where life is already dangerous enough as it is. So like a lot of people aren't interested in sending their kids to that. And I also, like, I'm a super big fan of, like, you know, just taking charge of the education and stuff. And it's excellent that her grandmother is a good, like, experienced teacher and stuff. I will say that, like, I think that life is the best teacher, and that's why you talking about the home ec stuff, I think, is super duper awesome and important. Is like, that's real life skills. That's not like the Pythagoras theorem, or like, you know, learning about the 17th century clay pottery that's going on over like in Africa or something. It's just like, learning real life skills will get you like a much higher leverage to be able to change your life and influence the things that are around you, than like learning some asinine stuff about, you know, the formulas and the intricacies of the way that the world works. I think that focusing on the core fundamental stuff first, and then after mastering that, you move into the more theoretical and the more advanced stuff. I think that that's super duper important. A resource that I would recommend to anyone who's interested in it is the Ron Paul. Ron Paul's got a website about and he's a famous libertarian from Texas. I think he ran for president under the Republican ticket. I want to say back in 2004, or maybe it was 2008. I can't recall, but he's super big on education, and he's super big on people taking charge of the things that are important to them in life. And so he's got a really cool online program that my brother Sam was telling me about, because he was considering the same thing for his family. So that's a really cool resource that's available to people.
It's also super important just to be involved in teaching your kids life skills, just like you were saying. Like with me, you know, one of Elena's biggest candies, like her favorite one is Skittles, right? So anytime she does something to earn a pack of Skittles, whether it be she does her chores and stuff like that, then she gets a pack of Skittles. But the pack of Skittles gets ripped open, they get poured into a bowl, and I take about 25% of them. And I say, this is taxes, kiddo. And this is the important, I'm serious. That's what I do. That's 100% what I do. You know, learning how to save things. You know, she saved up $100 of her Tooth Fairy money, because the Tooth Fairy brings, I guess, $5 now due to inflation. And my kid's been losing teeth like nobody's business. But the case of, yeah, it's crazy. But the point of the matter is, if you have kids, you want to start doing that. If you don't have kids, Will, Brendan, anybody in the audience right now, if you guys don't have kids, all right, start preparing now for when you do have kids. Think about what sort of life skills you can impart on them. Think about how, you know, you can start when they're toddlers with simple stuff. And then as they grow into kids and then into teenagers, you guys want to be able to have a super well thought out plan with how you want to incorporate life lessons that you've learned into your kids' life, so that they can be that much farther ahead. Because the last thing that you want them to do is to be 18 years old, ripping student loan after student loan, trying to go to college, because that's the popular thing to do. Next thing you know, they have 6 figures in debt. They can't earn more than $20 an hour bartending. And then all of a sudden, they're just set back in life. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to start doing that stuff, whether it be teaching them how to cook, whether it be teaching them how to drive a nail with a hammer, whether it be fixing a toilet, fixing a car. It doesn't matter what it is. Get them out there, start teaching this stuff. And it's going to be super important for their growth to be able to do that. And it's such a good bonding experience. It's awesome. I love taking my daughter places and giving her these teaching lessons. because it's something that I get to do as a dad, is to teach my daughter something. And she's not going to remember really the details, but she's going to remember my dad was there. My dad was teaching me this stuff. This is the type of person that I want to end up with in life, is somebody that I can learn from. So it's extremely important. So I encourage, if you guys have kids, teach them life lessons. If you guys don't have kids, start getting that plan together and stuff like that. But turn it back over to you, man.
I like it. I do want to get a quick set of thoughts from Brendan and Nate before we hop into the next subject. Brendan, do you want to take a quick little blurb on your thoughts on homeschooling?
No, because it would take too long, because I was homeschooled for from second grade through high school, all the way through high school. But it allows for a lot of unique opportunities, and you really have to take advantage of what's out there. My mom put me into a lot of extracurricular activities. I was able to always play sports for the town. I was able to play sports for the high school. My mom made me give tours at the State House for 4 summers when I was in high school. We had homeschool programs, and there's a lot of opportunity out there for people that do homeschool their children. But you also need to make sure that they are, also getting that peer-to-peer opportunity as well, because they do need that to grow. And look, you can do it in a better way than you get in a school, because of, like Josh said, too many kids, too much going on. And so there's better opportunities out there through sports, through volunteering, and through other ways to interact with children. But I think homeschooling is great. And some states it's easier to do than others. Some states it's really strict. There is a company out there that's there specifically out there just for homeschool advocacy. And it's called the Homeschool Defense League. I believe that's what they're called. And so if anyone's getting crap from their town or from their state, because look, you still have to do standardized tests, or in some cases you literally have to show your entire curriculum to your town for them to approve it. So there's a lot of hoops in some cases that you have to jump through, but there are a lot of resources out there to help you.
Homeschool Defense League. I'm writing that down in Telegram right now. Nate, do you have any thoughts on homeschooling real quick? And then we'll just transition right on over into your tweets that you wanted to talk about today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do have a son, right? And a son is definitely different than a daughter. So, little TLDR, basically the way that I look at it is I think it would actually be good for my son to be in public school. And the reason for that is because public school is a training ground for what real life is going to be like, and they get to start off young, and they get to go through those struggles and the things that if you were just homeschooled alone, there'd be certain social elements that you would run into later on in life after you're out of school that you were not prepared for. And I know that that's something that I really don't want, my son to run into, especially since he's an extremely technical one, right? So I can tell he's going to be one of these very, very nerdy, mechanically minded type of kids, because he needs to figure out how things work, and he doesn't really care that the toy is fun and it does things. He just wants to know how the toy works and how it does the thing. So that's why he rips it apart. And so I know that people like that, who have that kind of mind, are going to be they're usually almost outcasted in public settings, right? They're not usually very socialized. And so I think putting him in a position where he is going to get bullied, and he's going to run into these situations, it's going to be able to allow me to be able to give him my experience and say, hey, next time this sort of thing is happening, maybe even do some practicing and all that, right? But be able to give him that the power to be able to work on it now as a child, now in the school system. And then once he hits 18 or like 22 or whatever, and he like hits college, now he's socialized enough, and he's experienced enough in people's games and drama and all that he's able to be like, I know what you're doing. Okay, let me navigate this properly while I'm trying to get into a business or get into a company or something like that. And unfortunately, obviously this stems from, the way that we grew up. We always want our kids to do better. And I had to learn all these things through my 20s. And it was tough.
I think that, and we're having an excellent conversation in the private chat about like financials or something that should be taught more often. And that's kind of where I want to take the direction of this conversation. So like, we focus a lot on financial stuff on this podcast, specifically cryptocurrency. And Nate, you've been talking a lot of, or you've been having a lot of tweets lately. Do you think that any of your tweets are relevant for folks that are teaching? And if not, then which tweet is your most important tweet that you've been tweeting out today? Because you mentioned that you've put out like something about 15 or something, and I kind of sort of perused through them. But I want to get your take on what are some like important things that folks should focus on regarding learning about finances and things of that nature.
So
Oh,
learning
you're
about
muted.
finance.
There you go.
Now, when you learn about finances, right? I mean, you have to understand the level that you're at. So when you're reading through my tweets, you do need to know a little bit of something, right? I got the one about the S&P 500 hitting all new all-time highs, right? So that one in particular, and seeing that, I'm like, even though, you know, recession is looming and all these things are happening, I'm like, okay, so let's go ahead and do some fundamental analysis here. When the S&P goes up, you know, that's when people start getting risk on that goes down to the Russell 1000, and then from there it heads into riskier assets, aka crypto. Pump up, you know, that's why I'm like, at the end they're like, pump our bags, right? But that's the reason why I tweeted that. But here's the other thing too. I actually had somebody comment on that particular tweet about, he was wondering if it was possibly had something to do with the Trump presidency and if it's being priced in and all that. Yeah. So, you know, when I look at that, I'm like, okay, well, technically speaking, here's the deal, right? The current sitting president is more likely to be reelected if the S&P 500 hits new all-time highs during the campaigns, right? And during the election. Well, I mean, who's been kind of struggling right now in in the polls?
Hey.
So, you know, and what's the system? The money printer. Who does the money printer not want to have in office? Okay. And so when you look at all that, I'm sitting here thinking, all right, so there's a big pump going on. We're already talking about how Q4 is going to be really huge for crypto, right? Just totally green. Well, this is a part of it. And I believe this is all a part of it, right? So, I mean, that's one of those aspects, just understanding how these things have a tendency to work. And so what you could be saying, or in that tweet alone, it's kind of like, I'm back here and I'm observing something that's going to have after effects months down the road that's going to be into crypto. So to be able to see that early, that's when you can start making really good trades. AKA, I'm going to buy my bags early, front run this, and then I'm just going to wait, you know, and then we'll see how it turns out. So there's that one, you know.
I'm looking through there's a particular tweet that caught my eye that you put out, and it's your Mad Money Printer one, where you talk about staking the Hex, pulling out the HTT, which is the new token that's available thanks to Actuator Finance, which allows you to pull out or it allows you to mint a token into existence that is collateralized, or that is collateralized. Yeah, it's Hex time
collateralized
token.
1-to-1 Hex. Yep.
Yeah, can you kind of explain to the folks, because you did a stream with these guys that made this protocol. Can you kind of explain what's a way that you can use that system to generate a money printer?
Yes. Okay.
And
So
it's not financial advice, by the way, folks.
this is not financial advice. So I do have a tweet here. So let's just bring up my screen. And we'll just kind of go through these, right? Why not?
Okay.
Hey, while you're bringing that up, can I make a quick comment, Nate?
Yeah,
just
please
real
do.
quick. I think it's extremely important for everybody to understand what Nate was saying when you think about the life cycle of a risk-on asset, because that's the psychology of a bull market. Risk-on creates confidence, which then creates more risk-on investments and so on. It's extremely important for everybody to understand that, especially during this lull in the market that we're seeing as we're getting ready to go into, you know, unprecedented price action. So to be able to understand that, I know you kind of went through that really quick, Nate. I think it's extremely important for everybody to understand that and really put due diligence into learning that life cycle.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's how you can be a good investor, because you see things coming, you know, and obviously it's people always say it's 50-50, right? But in truth, if you start seeing these things early, it's like, well, maybe 60-40, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so there's actually these kind of timed together, and I was thinking about this kind of deeply. And so the first one is that Hex is like a major financial building in the Pulse Chain City, right? This is the way I really like to see it, because I was seeing it as like Hex started off as just nothing more than a decentralized staking platform, basically, right? It's just a staking coin. It's just the one thing. It's like the baseline, you know, and it was the first shack that was actually in the Pulse Chain City, you know, and then from there, more buildings started getting built out, but, you know, Hex kind of stayed the same. But then, you know, you have Hedron and Icosa, right? And this Alex guy, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go up to this building that has a really good base, okay? And I'm going to build another layer on there. I'm going to build another floor. And then whoever came out with Commus did the exact same thing, right? And now we have Actuator, who's built even further up to it, and it's becoming this skyscraper of a financial building itself, right? And it's fascinating. And so, yeah, from there, right, what I ended up going into was like, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about Actuator, there's a specific strategy that I think is absolutely amazing, right? So if you have a Hex stake that is from Hex day 1, right, and the Hex stake ends anywhere from day 3000 to beyond, right, you are able to mint what I have figured out is the best one, HTT 3000, okay? And so the idea here is that it's literally just step by step. I literally go through it, is where you just simply stake your Hex, okay? Stake it out as long as you want, you know, up to 3000. And then you pull out an HTT token, which will be, technically speaking, when you first pull it out, it'll be 75 cents on the dollar, right? Or 75% of a Hex, right? So, but the way that works is that it eventually becomes equal. The closer you get to the end of the stake, becomes closer to exactly 1 Hex, right? And that's kind of like how the loan works. However, with 75%, you're still going to be making out bank on this one, right? So then what you do is you swap the HTT for Hex, right? And then you place it into the Pulse X farms, all right? Now the Pulse X farms, what you're able to do is then pull out ink, right? You're going to be farming ink while your stake, your original Hex principal, is still going. Remember, you minted this HTT literally for free because you have a Hex stake, all right? And so this Hex that you're putting into the farm is literally free just because you already have a stake, all right? So that's free. Now this ink is getting minted for you. And then from there, I would personally, what I would say is 50% of that you do like on a weekly, daily, whatever, monthly basis, 50% of that, start rebuying the HTT token and then paying off that loan that you took out, right? Just start paying that off. So that way you don't get like too far behind or you get in trouble with it or something, right? That's obviously something you want to do.
Yeah.
Another thing is you could do like 25% back in and maybe like take 25% to go buy yourself a burger at McDonald's or something, you know?
I wanted to ask Nate, this is leverage on your Hex stake. Your Hex stake is a collateralized loan that you get these tokens for. You use the tokens to then do things that generates income of a sort, right?
Yes.
In this case, the incentive, the yield farming or whatever, like you could just as easily take this money and go and spend it in real life on, I don't know, a bunch of dinosaur collectibles that you then sell for a profit later, pay back your HTT tone. It's essentially a loan protocol or something like that, right? That uses your HSI as a collateralized loan.
Yeah, it's a type of loan, but here's the thing. The only time you actually need to pay it back is on your redemption date, aka I want 3000 days. Like as soon as Hex hits day 3000, bam, there you go. That's where you have to have it all paid back. Otherwise, the community is able to liquidate you, or in this case, emergency end stake you, right? And obviously the reason why somebody want to do that is because if they emergency end stake you, their stakes technically get a higher percentage, APY, right?
Okay.
So yep.
How do they make,
so that's
how
how
do
that
they
works.
make money? How are they giving out money for free if they're not? How are they making money? Like, how are they making fees here?
So the fees themselves is actually based on
Like, where's this money coming from? If you're not giving them anything, they're essentially you're collateralizing a loan with something that can't be used, right? Where are they giving this loan money from? Like, how is it? Where's it coming from?
That is actually escaping me. So
They have
C3, it was something that
pools, right?
Well, there's liquidity pools, yes, and they do have an actuator token, and the actuator token is sort of a fundraiser, so to say, of being able to pay things out. However, there's a way in collateralizing it that I'm going to need to go back through
No
all my
worries.
notes
We'll
and
do a
everything.
deeper dive at some point. Let's
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if you go over to my Ascending Man channel, I actually did do a deep dive on that, and we went extremely in depth. And quite frankly, when you start hearing C3 talk about this type of stuff, it's like, wow, this is some really deep stuff. But yeah, we'll have to go with that
super
later.
interesting to me. Honestly, it seems like there's
it's fascinating.
a ton of opportunity there, and it's something I definitely want to learn more about. And I know C3, good guy, really good guy, has been in the industry, been in the market, been in crypto for a long time, and he's been in Hex since day one, and so I know that he really wants to give back as well, and so this is one of his ways of doing that.
Yep. But yeah, so long story short, then I'm like, okay, well, here's where your infinite money glitch happens, right? Where it's like, you pay back a little bit of the HTT, but then you put 25 into Hex and then 25 in the Pulse, and then you're always just putting it back into the farms. The farms grow, you get more ink, and then you kind of see how that loop happens, and it's just an infinite money printer. And like I said, you can technically pay back like 50%, or sorry, 25%, and then like pay yourself 25% to go buy another token you want as well. And this will infinitely get more and more money as well. So it's an absolutely fantastic thing that you can do. Now, here's a warning, okay? Something that you and I went through, Will, you remember that?
Yes.
So
there.
you can do a custom time. So there's the HTT 3000, 5000, and 7000, right? Those are the three that actually have liquidity pools right now, and that's where you pull the tokens out, then you can sell them because there's a liquidity pool there. Now
Can I interject real quick?
Yes, please.
So just so you guys know, right now, Hex, we're currently on day like 1700 something, 1800 something. So when you hear like HTT 3000 or HTT 5000 or whatever, those are the days in the Hex's existence. So like the stakes, these tokens are labeled and sorted by the length of the state there of the Hex stake. So that's like where these numbers come from. I don't know if we had clarified that earlier, but I think that's worth mentioning. Please continue though, Nate.
Yeah. Yep. So let's see, where was I? It was the infinite money glitch. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
one of the issues you can run into.
Dates.
Yeah, one of the issues you can run into is you can customize your redemption date, aka like what I did as an experiment is I did 1705, day 1705, right? Well, here's the thing. I was able to pull out my tokens. And it's like, woohoo, I got tokens now. But there's no liquidity pool. So you literally can't sell it. You would get like 99.9% slippage, That means literally zero. So you can't sell it. So now you can technically create your own pool, your own liquidity pool, and then work things that way. But that's far into the weeds and deep into technicals there.
Okay.
So
gotcha. Well, this sounds like
before we move on into getting everybody in here, I actually want to throw a question out for the community, and I want you guys to get on the stream here, okay? And I want you to ask us about this, right? Let's have a conversation about it, because this is a very interesting idea that I had. Aside from one thing I do want to show you, I did happen to do this whole thing today because I was bored as all hell, I guess, where I made a little poem. I made just a little poem and everything, and I was messing around with some AI generators, and I had a blast making this, by the way. This is fan-fucking-tastic. But yeah, so either here nor there.
Little self-congratulatory pat on the back for me. I'm Nate McGinnis. Look at this cool. I mean, it is pretty cool, bro. I've definitely had some fun with AI stuff.
Oh man, I had so many people were commenting on that just in the chats and everything. It was hilarious. But anyways, so here's my question for people. Now, Donald Trump, right? If you look at his base, okay, his base is a lot about people with freedom of movement, freedom of speech. They want to get out of the normal financial system. They want to get out of the normal system itself, and they distrust the government entirely, right? What does that sound like? Hexicans. It sounds like Pulsicans. That is us, okay? That's literally us. The only difference is that they don't know the crypto realm. That's literally the only difference. If we introduce them to the crypto realm, I can bet you that's where the next multi-million users are going to be. And just so happens that he booked a rally at Madison Square Garden on October 27th. So where are we going on the 31st?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn close, guys. That's pretty damn. Maybe you should get to New York City just a little bit early. Maybe head up to that rally and start talking about. I know Maddie. I'm looking at you, by the way, Maddie. I know you're really good at handing out those little coins of yours and stuff. So this is something though. I want everybody to get on the stream. Okay, we're gonna put the link out for the StreamYard. Get on here and let's discuss this, because I think this here is the number one thing that we need to do for Pulse Chain.
Interesting. Could we go ahead and pull down the screen share? I know that we gotta say goodbye to Brendan and Josh in the relative near future, so I want to give them a moment to speak and opine on things that they're thinking out before they leave. Brendan, do you have any thoughts on this actuator protocol, or Josh, do you have any thoughts of any of the things that we've covered?
No, I don't. I mean, yeah, it's.
I'm sorry, bad hosting. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, no. I mean, if there's anybody that are if there's two people that are farther apart investment strategy wise, it's me and Nate. So that's a little bit too like out of the weeds for me. So, but I can hang out for probably another 5 or 10 minutes after the time that I told you I'd have to bounce. So
excellent.
Yeah. But
alrighty.
No, I don't really have anything. Brendan, what about you?
Well, I mean, like I said, I haven't really looked. I've just looked at the basics with actuator. I would like to have C3 on our channel at some point. So we'll probably look into that. Nate was has already hosted him on his channel, so people that are interested, go take a look. But no, just really paying attention. Like I said, I have some friends in Tampa. I hoped that everybody was going to evacuate, but not everybody evacuated from St. Pete and Tampa. So hoping that everybody's okay. Anyone that's not there but's coming back. And then we're about 2.5 weeks away from the Richard Hart trial, so that is something that is really interesting. I mean, man, we're got a lot to talk about on the Sunday show, because we just had the FBI rug a Ponzi and arrest 18 people / companies, which I don't even think we'll have time to really get into and talk about tonight. But man, talk about providing an unregistered security and then arresting people for investing in it. It's crazy to me that can be legal. Maybe it's not, but nonetheless, SEC should look into them. Other than
FBI, not everything's legal for FBI.
Apparently. Other than that, no, just keep your head on a swivel, keep your eye out for everything that's happening. Even in bull markets, it's always hard to hold your coins. There are some times that look like it's bleak and like it's like you want to sell, but stay strong and just relook at why you're here, why you're holding. And if you don't like one of the coins that you're holding, maybe you can rotate that into something that you feel more confident about, or if you're oversaturated with your investment, that could be an issue too. But we're close. We are close to big gains, I think. Not financial advice, but I'm excited to where we're going to be in the next 3 to 6 to 12 months.
Excellent.
You guys enjoy? Josh, it was a pleasure. I wish I could stick around longer, but I'll see you guys soon.
Where can the folks find you, and what do you got going on in the near future?
I got nothing going on, bro. I'm sitting on my couch doing nothing, looking at charts all day and working from my computer.
Yeah, that's something. I like it. All right, sweet. And you guys can find him at Anonymous Bean on X. If you don't know, yes. I will go ahead and drop that link in the chat. Brendan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, my friend. And until next time.
Cheers, y'all. Have a good night.
Broski.
Yeah, B, I'll send you a text.
Sounds good, bro.
All righty. And I will go ahead and throw that link on in the chat. And it looks like, let me pull up the, okay. Mrs. Producer, whenever our guest is ready to hop on in, go ahead and do your camera magic stuff and bring him on in. But aloha, Simon, wonderful IO. Welcome to the stream, broski. What is there might be folks at home who don't know who you are. So for them, who are you and what do you do? And looks like you're sipping on water there, amigo.
Yeah, sorry. I do have some strong coffee as well.
Ah, excellent. Me too.
Of the 7-Eleven variety, so I'm keeping it classy.
Excellent. I love to hear it. So who are you? Can you give yourself a brief introduction? I don't know if you've met Josh yet, but Josh is another one of the original founders of the Degen Roundtable. So who are you? What do you do? And right, I see there's a link underneath your name. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Simon. I've been in Hex since 2019. I've done consultancy work for Richard. Been involved with Pulse Chain from the start too, obviously. Worked in various fields. Kind of online retail, jurisdictional consultancy, med tech, yeah, all sorts of exciting things. And now I'm the guy bringing Pulse Chain, a mobile gaming studio.
Excellent. So, are you a developer, or are you more of the marketing and the brainstorm? What's your role in that for
Yeah,
the Wonderwolf?
I'm the founder.
Oh, okay.
And
Excellent.
then we have other guys on the team that are kind of gaming, marketing, AI, web, all that good stuff.
All right, sweet. Sweet. Well, do you have any thoughts on the stuff that we're covering tonight, whether it be homeschooling or the actuator protocol, or is there something that you've got going on?
Well, I skipped a lot of school when I was younger and basically homeschooled myself, and I found it incredibly effective. So I'm in favor of homeschooling. Yeah.
Excellent. Good stuff, amigo. I'm seeing in the private chats that I am frozen. Am I back with you guys? Can you guys hear me? I presume you can hear me.
You're not frozen on our end.
You have a
Okay.
really funny looking face, Frozen, though.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Good branding. We do it live. Well, welcome, Mr. Simon. Nate, can you said that you had a question for folks that were joining the stream and stuff, and I didn't quite absorb it or understand it as well as I thought I did. Can you bring
Yeah.
up that talking point again, please?
Well, yeah, think about it this way, right? So, how many times now have you watched a Trump and Elon Musk or Trump and RFK, right, stream, and you're seeing 500,000 people watching, 2 million people watching, right? There are a lot of people who aren't in the crypto, right? And they're a part of the, kind of fighting against the system type of person, and that's their personalities. Well, here's the thing. That type of personality is a lot of what like we hexicans and pulsicans are, So I would say when it comes to the political side of things, politics are dumb. You may want to stay out of it. It makes sense. Do you like Kamala Harris? Do you like Trump? That's not what matters, right? What I'm doing is I'm making connection with the type of people who are supporting Trump right now and the type of people that hexicans/pulsicans tend to be, and what Richard Hart, what he's standing for when it comes to freedom of speech and freedom of movement with Pulse Chain, right? That's what he's trying to build. He's trying to build that freedom. And the people who are supporting Trump and Elon Musk and these guys, right? They have that same kind of tendency. And so the only link the only thing that's preventing that link from happening that brings those millions of people, those millions of users onto Pulse Chain is just simply knowing about us. I think we need to be loud. We need to be very loud, specifically targeting these types of people and being like, hey, do you know about Richard Hart? Do you know about Hex? Do you know about this chain, this blockchain that you can freely transact on, which is Pulse Chain? Do you know about it? Let's have a conversation. I think we need to get really loud and really kind of start going after those people. So that's sort of my my shtick, something that I was thinking about today. What's your guys' thoughts on that, panel?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important. I mean, in order for the Pulse Chain ecosystem to grow, word's got to get out. That's just, what it comes down to. I think it's extremely convenient. I had no idea that he had booked a rally at Madison Square Garden like 4 days before there was going to be the big meetup there. I mean, that you were talking about it, but it is a great opportunity. I mean, if people have the time to get down there a little bit early, maybe they want to experience a Trump rally or, just sort of be a megaphone for, the coins that they believe in and all that stuff. It's super important. You're probably going to get a much more receptive crowd in that sort of environment, especially when you think, of Trump's cryptocurrency comments, and, you got Vivek Ramaswamy, who's been linked up with Trump and his advocacy for it and all that stuff. So most likely it's going to be a very receptive environment for that sort of conversation. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, the ecosystem's got to grow. The only way that that's possible is to put it on as many megaphones, put it on as many billboards as we can. And it's super important to be able to, if we can crack into that space, I mean, that's phenomenal. it's going to be a monumental task, but it's definitely it would definitely be beneficial to the growth of the ecosystem. I can tell you that.
I did notice that somebody sent $5,555 to the Hex postcards funding address today. So perhaps we could hook up with those guys and see if they could use that money for flyers for the Trump event.
I do know that oh shoot, EcoBuilder is the guy I'm pretty sure he runs the Hex postcards. If not, he's very heavily tied into it, and he's a good gentleman. I've had some conversations.
Yeah, that's his project. I think that's his project. I think that's it. Yeah, that's him. If I remember.
Yeah, it did used to be Togosh. I've met him too. He's a super cool cat also. I don't know how deep in the weeds Togosh is anymore. I know he got a cease and desist, or he got some sort of legal service or something of that nature. I can't remember exactly, but I remember him telling me that was kind of obnoxious when he was running a lot of the mailing stuff. So I think that EcoBuilder might have more of a design play. I don't know if he's heading leadership or if he's heading design or marketing or something of that nature. I just know that he's very heavily involved in the process. And yeah, Togosh used to be. I would have to double check with Togosh and see if he's still the one in charge of that. But they're doing some great stuff over there. And printing flyers is it is effective to have them. I still drive around with my Hex flyers. I don't have any of them handy with me here in my shipping container, but I have those with me, and they're always sitting up in like the dash of my truck. So if anyone ever like walks past my truck and they see like my Cuatro Cinco stickers everywhere, or like my little Hex stickers, and they'll see the little postcard right up in the front that's like earn 38% APY with your Hex stakes. I do think, Josh, to your point earlier about there being a lot of similarities and stuff between cryptocurrency folks and Trump's base. I think that a lot of that has to do with like people's interest in self-sovereignty and people's interest in like, taking care of themselves rather than like having big machine, big person, big daddy, whoever the hell take care of their stuff for them, which is a lot of what you see on the more democratic and the more liberal side. So there's a lot of I think that if there's going to be some sort of marketing effort, then targeting self-sovereignty, targeting taking care of the people that are close to you, that are important to you, targeting the like break away from the systems that treat you poorly. Vote with your feet, vote with your wallet, vote with your your ballots too. Like, I think that would be a good sticking point and a good message in both parties, like the cryptosphere, the Pulsicans, the Haxicans, the Bitcoiners, the Ethereum maxis, all these guys. Like it doesn't necessarily just have to be Hex and just the Pulsicans. I would love if it just was, but like, this is a message that anybody can spread to the Trump base, is like, there's a lot of similarities between us. We want to break away from the system as it exists, and we want to have more control of our life and things of that nature. So, Nate, I see that you have rejoined us again. Were you able to catch much of the conversation and the things we were talking about?
No, not quite. But Josh, I did see you go off mute there. Did you have something to add?
I was going to, but I'll go ahead and share it. It's I don't know, like, it's kind of interesting, and this just
I do not know what's going on. Everything is frozen on my end. I apologize. I can't hear a thing.
You might
hear me, Nate?
Yeah, I can hear you, so we're okay. It looks like his internet is failing right now.
Yeah. It's that shipping container Wi-Fi.
Yep. I'm back. I don't know if you guys can see me, but I can hear you guys now. So I missed your response, Nate. But carry on with whatever you guys were talking about.
Yeah, I hit that punchline, but shout out to Miss Producer for putting that in the private chat there. That goes to her. But no, it just kind of speaks to how bass backwards the political system is nowadays, where you take, a mostly conservative party who is, infamous for keeping things the same and not really changing that much. And then you introduce a revolutionary new investment realm. You think of cryptocurrency, you think of the newness of it. And, it's entirely new. It's taken the world by storm over the last 10, 11 years. And it's the conservative party who would be more adapt to that. But when you think of the fiscal responsibility behind it, it sort of does make sense. But I would think that there would be a lot more emphasis for that sort of thing and the progressive side, but it's not there. So it's interesting how interwoven that sort of thing is. And it just speaks to how, like I said, just how bass backwards our political system is, and just how things 15 years ago were totally different. And, I can only imagine how things would have been 30 years ago if I was paying attention to politics at that time and just seeing that sort of thing. That was really the only thought that I had. Like I said, I really wasn't even thinking about saying it, but, I figured.
No, you bring up a really good point. And what's fantastic about it, right, is that like RFK, Ramaswamy, like even JD Vance, he was more kind of on the center side, right? They've all hard gone over to the Republican side for Trump. And the reason why is because Robert really, really, really talks about this in detail about how he's a deep blue guy, right? But he's a deep blue guy in the traditional sense. And he's noticed what the Democratic Party has become. And I would say the Democratic Party is no longer the Democratic Party. It's something different now. And it's really sad that it happens because we needed Democrats. We've always needed Democrats. We need both sides, but they need to kind of like stick to their lanes. And unfortunately, the way the Democratic Party is now is different. It's not how it should be. And so they've actually switched sides, and it's almost like this just flipping, right? It's a flipping of what Republicans used to be is almost like dead and gone. The conservatives are no longer really conservative anymore. There's like a huge mix of them. Whereas the liberal people are now like, hey, we want freedom for all. We want, access to guns. We want protection. We want freedoms and things like that, rather than being safe, right? That's always what the conservatives have always been, right? Now that seems to almost be flipping, where it's like enable the Democratic Party's like, you need to give up your freedom and able to have more security and be safer, right? And it's not about going about your own way and creating a life. We have to help you with that life. That used to be conservatives, because the conservatives obviously were just like, they're super safe, very conservative, they're very deadline, they're not into new things, stuff like that. But now it seems to be flipping around. And that, I think that's what we're witnessing this cycle, and probably the past couple of cycles, which I think is funny, of talking about a 4-year cycle being the presidential cycle, because it's the same as the Bitcoin cycle, which is interesting, by the way. With that being said, though, right, it's very fascinating to watch this flipping happening, so I do encourage people to open up your mind and not say, oh, that they're red, so I'm not going to like them, or they're blue, so I'm not going to like them. At this point, I think there's a little bit of the crossing of the streams going on of the ideals, because the colors were originally about the ideals, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it worked, because the ideals could try and come together like this, and where they met in the middle like this, that's where you got the greatest country on the planet ever in history. And unfortunately, the way both the colors are kind of like mixing together, but kind of like in an oil water sort of way, where they're just resisting each other now. And it seems like they're almost reversing like this, so it's like, we all hate you. We hate everything that you are. And pretty soon they have to get back to their ideals like this, but it's going to be crisscrossed now. And that's what seems like is happening. So I would say, stop looking at the colors. Okay. Stop looking at what you traditionally are, because I'm a Democrat. Okay. You're a Democrat. Do you believe in democratic ideals? Think about the ideals, man. That's what you need to do.
Yep.
Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox here.
Hey, so real quick, I'm gonna toss it over to Josh, because I know that we're running a little bit past your timeline, broski. Final thoughts. Where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future, amigo?
Yeah, so Instagram, Twitter, you guys can find me on Telegram at Chocolate Taints. I don't really post much to socials anymore since I stepped away from the channel. But that's where you guys can find me if you guys got any questions. Just like my hashtag below my name there says, rise and grind. Make sure you guys are, setting small, manageable goals to create monumental habits. That's what it's all about. So make sure you guys are doing that. Challenge yourselves every day. Simon, good to meet you, man. Will, Cass, Nate, great seeing you guys. Keep up the good work, and I will catch you guys down the road.
Excellent. Peace, broski. Great having you on. We'll see you next time.
See you later, Josh.
I'll see you guys.
All righty. So we were talking about the traditional, like I like the point that you brought up, Nate, about don't focus on the words, focus more on the substance. And that kind of like that seems to be a central theme about many things in life. Is like, don't listen to the words, don't look at the labels, look at like what's the meaning, observe the actions, like watch what they're doing, as opposed to what do people say that they are, right? Like pigeonholing yourself into a little tiny box of description used to be relevant, used to be useful back when like that stuff was way more uh
Back when you had
acceptable.
four news channels and that was it.
Yeah, exactly. There was four identities you could choose from, but now it's
Yep.
like people can be a whole nuanced slew of all sorts of things, and like realistically, boxing yourself into a into like a little limiting understanding or tribal thing, for lack of a better word, will get people to treat you differently. So one of the things that I do, if people ask me my political things, is I say that just like I like freedom, I like sovereignty, and I like, respecting other people's goals and like while chasing my own. Things of that nature. And it's pretty simple. Nobody ever really disagrees with that. One of the fun little jokes that I like to play is that like I like to tell liberals and conservative Democrats and Republicans that like, hey, do you want to use the law to basically force what you want onto other people, or do you want to like convince other people? Like, do you want to force it, or do you want to like talk to people and have discourse? And most often people say like, I'm not interested in the forcing stuff. And so I say like, oh well, you're just a libertarian that's like wearing a red blanket or wearing a blue blanket. So like, nice try. You're actually an anarchist. You're a libertarian. You can't fool me. And so that's the fun little game that I play to break rapport, or to try and like shoot things, but or not shoot things, shoot down the common misconceptions that happen, and other things of that nature. Simon, you've been quiet for a little while. Do you have any thoughts on like political stuff, either in your own home country, or as far as stuff going across the states, or have you any thoughts on any of the things that we've been discussing?
Far too many. I guess when you guys are talking about American politics,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that whole like Christopher Hitchens thing or whatever, where you start pontificating to Americans about what they should think about their own country.
Well, I'm
But
curious to so you can talk
It's
about
an
what you
outside.
think.
It's outside, right?
Well,
That's an outside point of view. Like we would love to
yeah.
hear it from somebody on the outside looking in. That's
oh,
that's
from the
important.
outside, well, the American Republic is based basically on like Freemasonic revolutionary thought, and so I fundamentally disagree with the very concepts upon which the Republic is based. But there are some very good things about it. So I like the kind of the fact that it's based on the Roman Republican model, and
Uh,
I like the kind of Anglo-Saxon common law. There's a lot of old England that America has preserved better than England, and I like that. But in terms of the kind of libertarian streak, that which includes what was traditional in England all those years ago, I enjoy. But as an abstract ideology, I think it leads to the destruction of the nation state and of the republic. And that's why you
yeah.
have these two opposing sides, one of which is basically communism, and the other of
Yep.
which is kind of libertarianism, right?
Yeah.
And both of them together lead to the destruction of the nation state and of the union.
It is a weird like pickle that we find ourselves in, because I totally agree with you. Like, I don't know I don't know how to fix the problem, because we've gone so far past the way that like the two parties used to work moderately together, and now it's kind of like all of the control or none of the control. And you're absolutely right. This does lead to absolute degradation, and so like of the society as a whole, right? So there's a there's a weird, I don't know if juxtaposition is the right word, but like I'm at a loss for words, peanut brain. So, I'm not incredibly smart, but I like to think that like maybe I'll just run away if the problem gets bad enough, and then I'll use my libertarianism to go find another place that has a system that works, where there's like I think that a big problem is societal more so than like governing body. I think that the governing bodies are just taking advantage of science, of like social and societal like shortcomings, and falling, like the people have basically voted themselves too many bread and circuses, And so now there's not like a sense of duty, there's not a sense of responsibility, because the system and the system has taken advantage of the people voting themselves bread and circuses to become more powerful in its stead. And so people being selfless and giving for the sake of giving without any expectation of return into a governing body that's fair and just is like that's pretty much all out the window at this point. So like I have no solutions, I have no thoughts. A lot of the things that you were saying like went over my head. I didn't understand when you were talking about the Roman Republic and the oh shoot, what was the other type of republic you had mentioned before that? Fiddlesticks. I can't remember. I would like to hear you explain more about that because I didn't quite understand. What did you mean by well, I guess just the Roman republicanism that is similar in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the discourse in American media and in the political podcasts and whatnot that talk about the Christian inheritance of America. But if you actually read the writings of the founding fathers, they were not particularly big on Christianity, most of them, and they had a lot more veneration for Republican Rome, and that was where they drew a lot of the inspiration from. And then the other stream that went into the writings was more kind of, I guess you'd call it French Revolution style republicanism. So there's about 30% of that, and maybe 70% of Rome would be the kind of the mix. So yeah, that's why, man.
So if you were to think about it this way, what he's kind of describing is if you look at the history of Rome. Now, there's actually a thing to be thought about this, right? If you look at the history of Rome and like how the politics used to work back then, that's for the most part kind of what we have in America as well. And I think it's because the founding fathers did look at that and they said, hey, this one worked really good. I think we should kind of recreate that, but we need to recreate it in a way where there's no like king, there's no Caesar, right? And that's where they were trying to like separate themselves and be like, okay, so we're gonna structure it like the Roman Empire, but it's going to be governed by the people, truly by the people, not by somebody can just take power and keep the power for themselves.
Well, I mean, you have a president with executive orders, right? Which is essentially a form of monarchism, is just temporary, which is the same as the Roman Republic had, except for they had two kings, the consuls. So yeah, it's kind of a copy and paste job.
For the most part, yeah, but that was only after they split it, though, and that happened after I think it was 1,500 or 2,000 years out of the 3,000 years that they were there.
Sorry,
yeah, continue.
So I'm very unfamiliar with history. You guys are just talking. This is all new to me. So like, just so you guys know, I'm very fascinated by this. I
would just say this then, right? If you go and you look back into the history of the Roman Empire and like the downfall of Rome, right? If you look at the downfall entirely of the Roman Empire, if you were to like squish that down and like say 10x speed that up, right? I believe that's kind of what's happening for the most part with America. And it would make sense that things are sped up because of globalization, technology, like everything is sped up, communication. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, America was designed really to be an urban society because America was designed before the Industrial Revolution. And so as an optimized system, it was for a completely different context. And so really it's almost unreasonable to expect it to remain kind of unchanged, perhaps even in terms of the governance structures when you have like a totally different context now. What the solution to that is, I don't know. And it's, it's not really my place to say.
But I agree with you. I don't know either.
but in terms of what you can get people to unite around, all you have is the Constitution. So I think if you guys lose that, it's a bit of a rocky road, right? So the Union and the Constitution, and maintaining American trade hegemon, because this is the other thing about libertarianism, is that it encourages people to view isolationism as a good thing. And whilst there are times in the trajectory of a nation where isolationism is kind of something that you earn, and it's that whole kind of like splendid isolationism, if you're on a bit of a decline and you start thinking about isolationism, it's basically giving up the ghost, and you're just handing the world order to powers that are far more corrupt and frankly demonic even than the American government. So
Yeah.
You could call it
constitution
the cabal of the world.
Sorry?
You could call it the cabal of the world.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that.
There's a lot of powerful people out there that exist that want to do stuff, and I don't know who they are, and I don't really know what they want to do, but I do know that I'm pretty okay with what's going on right now. This is some good historical context. So I'm learning a lot today. Can you guys so I know that Rome was an empire. I also know that Rome was a republic. When Rome was a republic, I presume it was a democratic republic or a republic democracy or something like that. What was like the stages of the Roman political setup and system?
They started off as a monarchy.
Okay.
And they had a king called Tarquin, who was known as Tarquin the Proud. He wasn't even that bad, really, compared to some of the stuff that happened later. But they got very fed up of him, and they got rid of him. And then they had it was basically like a little mini revolution, and they set up the Republican government. And then the Republic became a little bit too much of an oligarchy. And then you had these reformers that would come along and kind of side with the citizenry against debt slavery, decreasing wages. They were kind of a victim of their own success, really, because they expanded so fast and conquered so many lands, and all these slaves and money came in, and that lowered the cost of labor, and all this money went to the aristocracy, and they were a little bit tight with it. They didn't have enough noblesse oblige, basically, and then along came the reformers, and then finally Caesar, and then he made then the transition into Caesarism, and then Augustus picked it up from there. And he was very good Caesar, actually, probably one of the best ever. And then the empire started.
You're getting a whole freaking history lesson, Will.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Not only at the Degen Roundtable, not only do you learn about crypto, but you learn about history
and homeschooling and hurricane patterns and dating and all sorts of crazy things. You had mentioned something though, Simon, that I wanna double tap on. You were talking about they were becoming too successful for their own good, and this lowered the cost of labor because slavery existed. And I think that we're starting to we've been approaching this problem in America because the cost of labor is being exported to Mexico with immigrants flooding in, being the ones that are framing our houses, painting the stuff. So the American middle class worker, and this is something we've talked about a couple times on the show before. The American middle class worker, like the guy that was just oh, I'll just go get a 9 to 5, and I'll do some stuff that works. I'll go dig ditches, or I'll pave roads, or I'll go frame houses, or I'll cut lawns, or something like that. The menial labor that used to be done by Americans is now being exported to immigrants that are coming in and are doing it because they can outcompete us, because they're willing to work for lower wages than the proud or just whatever you want to call it. Americans aren't willing to work for lower wages, and so they're being outcompeted against by folks that are. And so we're seeing a dramatic, and then you factor in that we outsourced our industry over to China. And this is something that I think we spoke about on either the Sunday show or the last Whiskey Wednesday. I remember Brendan talking about it because I had mentioned the Henry Kissinger and the outsourcing of labor to China, so that way Americans at home could focus more on the more important things. But the problem is that the stuff the expansion happened way too fast, and basically the middle class was obliterated, and it became the upper class and the lower class, and the ability to rise from one into the other or to exist in the middle is just significantly decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. And that's what we're kind of seeing nowadays, where it's most people in America are in the cusp of the upper part of the lower class, and then there's a whole bunch of wealthy people, and then there's this awkward in between of people that are just taxed into oblivion and are living a high consumptive lifestyle or something like that, and finding it difficult to build wealth and generate wealth and stuff. So I see the similarity in what you're describing with the Romans becoming too successful for their own good, where they've now got so much slaves that they're basically it's like it's like reverse gentrifying or something like that. The area where it's like now the middle class people can't work anymore. And so I'm curious, did something similar happen in Rome where the middle class folks like they revolted or uprose whenever this stuff started happening with the expansion?
Um, it depends on the period, but if you're talking about when they got too successful, I mean, I guess in terms of the labor, yeah, you have the slave labor, but
Yeah.
most people were farmers, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about these times, like we always think about, like I don't know, like an elite warrior class, or the consuls and the poets and the orators, but most people were country farmers and quite happy being such. But when all these slaves were brought in, the aristocracy would set up these huge farming complexes called latifundia. And this basically meant that the cost of the goods that the independent farmers were producing were markedly lowered because they had, economies of scale on the latifundia. So yeah, basically the same thing happened in the late Republic, and that was how people like the Gracchi brothers and Caesar were able to generate so much support. But I mean, this is an old process in the kind of the cycle of a society. Not that they're always organic. You can engineer these cycles too. Remember. But yeah, I mean, Aristotle wrote about these cycles of democracy, despotism. He talked about how you need a large middle class if you want to have a kind of a long-term successful society with some dignity. I don't like to use the word freedom because I think it's been co-opted somewhat. But yeah, dignity. And yeah, if you have no middle class, you're not going to have much dignity in like 20 years, because as you say, you build up this two-tier system and you get this almost, I don't want to call it Brazilification, like, especially when you think of all the like the multi-ethnic nature of America. So you get this kind of like divide and conquer along those lines, the lowering of wages, and then the social instability, and then a division into two class systems. Yeah, it's not good.
Damn. This is a lot of food for thought for me. Like I'm gonna have to take some serious I don't know what I can do about it, right? So this is good information, but as far as like on an actionable scale, like what can I do with this information other than understand the way that things work and why? Like the question of like what's the next step is always the thing that's like teetering in my mind. And much like all the cryptocurrency information basically comes down to the two decisions of buy and hold or sell and walk away, right? It's like what does all this political information lead to? It's like do I go and like hop into protests and rallies? Do I voice my opinion? Do I try and educate others like we're doing on this platform here right now? Just spreading the word out and getting public discourse. And I think that's probably a good start, because I don't really know what to do with all of this information, but this is good stuff.
Well, I can tell you what what is kind of important, and then I think we'll move on to shoutouts. What do you think?
Yes, I think that's an
Okay,
excellent
right on.
idea. We do have some chats that are
We got
bubbling
some
up.
people. So yeah, real quick, one of the things that Americans still hold over the entire world is our stubbornness. There is no country on earth that I've ever seen that has the same tactics being used that is working in all other countries, and yet Americans really push back at all times. So that's I think that's the combining strength, right? When you look at all the political separations there, it's like, well, how are they going to stick together? Well, it's because we're so goddamn stubborn over leave me alone and let me do my own thing, right? That's literally the American spirit. So in understanding history, right, and understanding how these things kind of come in cycles, you're able to then kind of spread that word for other people that you meet who want to sit there and be like, I'm so bad at the political system, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, let's just go ahead and take a very brief, quick history lesson. All right, now what do we want to do about that? How about we just continue being stubborn as all hell? I love you, okay? I don't care what special thing about you. I love you. if I disagree with you, you can go over there, okay, and I'll go over here. We'll just do our own thing. That's basically what Americans are. You know, you go be successful in your realm. I'll be successful in my realm. If we don't like each other, we can just separate. All right, easy peasy. And so I think that type of spirit just needs to be spread, and that is the actionable advice. Know where you're coming from, understand where it could lead, and just continue that ideal of literally, even if you're not like, we are one, we are together. It's like, well, no, I disagree with you and I really don't like you, but I'll leave you alone, you leave me alone. That's the idea. Anyways, shout outs.
There's like a little bit of like potential like tribalism in there that could be like that could be beneficial, you know. And if we all at the end of the day, if we're all able to take the American identity, for those of us that are in America, if we could take the American identity and use that as the thing that binds us, or even, you know, like worldwide, take the Western identity, or like the I don't want to say like civilized culture and sound like an aloof asshole, but like there's a lot of like cool stuff that comes with being a like a sovereign individual in a like a world of culture and ability, and I think that that's something that ought to be strived for. And I think that that's something that we can all use to stand behind and unite against, even if we disagree about the application of a lot of things, even if we disagree about like, hey, who goes where and what happens and how do we tackle these problems. Like we can all get behind the idea of like, hey, life is good, we've got a lot of tools, let's use these tools to make the world a better place. I think that that's a good goal. And speaking of good goals and talking to other people and seeing things that are going on, we're going to do some chat motherfucking shout outs. So, Mrs. Producer, I see that you've started some excellent chats for us. You did a wonderful job. Can we go ahead and bring some of these up? So we've got not only some folks that are joining us for the first time, but we've also got some poignant thoughts that we might be talking about here as well. So first up from Cigaro, cursive is trash to learn. Teach her how to type 120 words per minute. That's a good skill to learn. I almost wonder if in this day and age of artificial intelligence and voice to chat, if typing will become obsolete in the near future. I will say that it's important for now. And you not only have to know how to type like this, but you also need to know how to type like this, and then type like this, doing the little swiping stuff and using the little voice to chat. Learning as many ways to get around conveying, like learning effective communication. That's where I'll take that chat shout out, is like learning good communication, whether it's writing physically with your hands, whether it's typing on a keyboard, whether it's talking to people, whether it's like literal like body language of like smiles and like facial expressions and tonality and pitch and inflection, and rising inflection and lowering inflection. So like good communication is a very important skill, and so I think that that might be something that would be super duper beneficial to throw into some homeschooling curriculum as well. So good thoughts there, Cigaro. I like it, broski. I like it a lot. All right. Oh, and we've also got another gentleman in the back. So we will welcome you as soon as we are done with chat shoutouts and things. All right, Mrs. Producer. Next up, we have Mr. Hexagon Lost in Asia. He likes to take Nate as far as opposite side worries about school shooters, or far opposite side worries about school shooters. Too many things to worry about out there. That's absolutely right. You don't see a lot
The
of school
percentages,
shooters
though,
in
man.
homeschools.
You know, when I think about that, like, yeah, sending my kid to public school, but then being afraid of a school shooter. All right, well, how about this? Number one, have I taught my kid to be competent enough that in a situation like that, that is, you know, God forbid anything like that ever happened, but am I competent enough that my child will know, that's not good. Here's how to protect myself, right? And maybe he becomes competent enough where he can actually, nice, where he could actually be competent enough to help others before helping himself. You know, that's how you build heroes. But then the other thing is too that I look at is what is the actual technical percentage of that happening versus all of the schools in America?
Yeah.
It's pretty damn slim, man. That's like saying, hey, this rock could, I'm walking around this cliff face, and this cliff on the rock I'm standing on could break, and then I'll fall to my doom. You know, it's like, I don't know, man.
It is something to consider. It's definitely a thing to think about. I will say, as far as school shooters go, the first thing that you should do is you should take your left hand, you should grab your shirt, pull it up like this. You should take your right hand, put it on your piece, draw it up so it's pointed like that. Come right here, and then press straight out. That's how you solve a school shooter problem.
Well, I've learned the thing now.
Yep. Grab, tuck, pull, present. So I don't want to fucking smash my screen, but you know, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do stances. I used to be a marksmanship instructor. For those of you that want to learn more about marksmanship, I might do some content creation on that one day. No promises, but it's something I've thought about a few times back when I was in the Marine Corps. But enough about me. Let's talk about Mr. M Rock Jockey, who's coming up here with Whiskey for Me Friends. Yes, you're absolutely right, Mr. Ock Jockey or M Rock Jockey, whatever your name is. I still don't know. Cheers, mate. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on. I can't drink right now because I got talking to do. Next up, we've got Paul Sex, who's actually in our green room right now, proceeds to read canned champagne of beers. Who am I? Speaking of who am I, we've got Paul Sachs right here. What's up, amigo? Good to see you.
What up, brothers? How are y'all?
We're doing fantastic.
I'm proceeding to open something fucking terrible, so go for it. Go
oh,
for
that
it.
looks
Do your
like
thing.
a Gatorade. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's an alcoholic drink, but it's disgusting.
Well, you know, hey, you're the one drinking it. So
hey, I paid for it, so yeah. No, you just do the chaser method.
All right, excellent. All right, so we're going to continue on with chat shoutouts, and I'll give you a proper introduction. Up next, we've got Mr. Brightlight Crypto. What's up, bar hoppers? What's up to you too, Mr. Brightlight? Shout out to Brightlight. You guys should check out his streams that he does. I can't remember what he's covered last, but I know that he's done things on liquidity providing and other such excursions inside of all of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So go check him out. You can find him. I'm pretty sure it's at Brightlight Crypto from YouTube, but I would have to double check. I'm willing to bet that you can check out the channel by clicking on the username. Oh, excuse me. Next up, we've got Jemmy. Jemmy needs to go. She's going to be on Replay Gang, but Jemmy, it's good to see you. You are one of our favorites here on the show. Glad to have you on. Welcome for Replay Gang. Shout out to Jemmy. Super cool lady. We love to have you here on the Degen Roundtable in the community. And next up, we've got Clintrons. He is talking about being on the east coast of Australia, listening while doing some work on his veggie garden. His wife is inside teaching the kids. The dream is there to be lived. I am so happy for you, bro. You've built a beautiful system. That's the goal. That's the dream. I think that it's kind of funny that's like, it's like the rich people can now afford to live the same way that poor people had to live in the past by necessity. So like it's an interesting take, but it sounds like you're chasing your dream and you're doing excellent things. And I wish I could be right there with you, bro. That sounds super fucking awesome. I would love to have a garden and like wife teaching kids and doing all that good stuff. Sounds excellent. I'm looking forward to doing such things after this theoretical bull run is in full swing and I'm able to take some profit.
Nah, man, you're stuck in a shipping container forever, dude.
I do like my shipping container. This is pretty nice. I love the mobile life. I don't know what I would do if I was tied down to one location. I probably wouldn't be tied down to one location, but you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Next up, we've got Crypto Compassion. Hey, everyone. Catch you on the next live stream. Shout out to Crypto Compassion and shout out to Vets in Crypto. They've invited, like, there's an unfortunate timing problem with Crypto Compassion. Them and Vets in Crypto are going to be doing a live stream on 8:30 or at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Oh shoot. Actually, dang, I'm forgetting the time, but I remember that it's going to be in conflict with our book club. So if you guys aren't watching our book club, you should definitely go check out Crypto Compassion and Vets in Crypto. They're going to be streaming at the same time. I don't remember if it's going to be a Twitter Spaces or a YouTube. I know that he's given me the details, but it's just escaping my mind and I don't have my notes pulled up. So shout out to Crypto Compassion. Good to see you, broski. Thanks for popping in the comments anyways, even if you're not able to make the Whiskey Wednesday, but we're glad to have seen you. And then finally, we've got Mr. K Hudson. What's up, y'all? What's up to you too, amigo? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have all of you Degens over here in the Degen Roundtable with us. Crypto Compassion has updated me on the times that he streams. It is 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Thursday. So that's going to be that's their thing that they are doing. So unfortunately, that is during my working hours, so I'm not able to join them. And then I think, if I remember correctly, there was something that was going on Friday, some sister stream or something that was going on. But yeah, shout out to Crypto Compassion and Vets in Crypto. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. But now we're done with chat shoutouts for a moment. I'm going to toss over to Mr. Paul Sachs. So for the folks that don't know, Paul Sachs is a super cool cat. I've hung out with him several times. A super nifty host and just a general excellent person in the Hex ecosystem. Paul Sachs, my amigo, what is new and exciting with you, my friend?
Not a whole lot, sir. If you want to get shooting lessons, hit up Will Stevenson.
Yes.
He'll get you up to speed real quick.
We have.
I
we
am
have
I am
done
going to go
some
hunt
things.
him down after the bull when I actually have time. I'm going to chase him all over America and be like, teach me guns.
Yeah, I would love to.
You can shoot a very unique pistol from probably 10 plus years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do still. I do still have those. I have many.
It was a
fun,
Steyr you had last time, but
Yep, I got a Steyr, I got a Tokarev, I've got all sorts of goodies. I've got like this little tiny 22 revolver that's just super fucking cute and adorable. But
old North
yes, I do
American
love
arms.
shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, crypto compassion says that Paul has the alpha. This is good news. What's Paul? Have you got some alpha for us? I'm not sure what he's referring to, but
Try to discover a little. My goal is to try and discover a little nugget of alpha every day. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was just going to say he's got alpha vibes.
I like it. I like it.
Yes, we'll just say yes. I don't know how I want to present it yet. So yeah, yes.
Okie dokie. Excellent. Well, whenever you get your thoughts compiled, like whether it's this stream or the next stream or anything of that nature, we'd be happy to hear it. But let's see. When was the last time that we had spoken? It was probably a couple Whiskey Wednesdays ago, I believe. Have you done anything crazy, new, or exciting? Have you slaughtered any dragons or uncovered any secret treasure?
Dude, I'm trying to live the boring life. I'm trying to get the last DCAs in while we know this is the prices. So go on the chart and go figure out where you believe the price will never return to. Where you think first, you got to go where you think it's possibly going to go to, which we're all wrong. We never thought it was going to come this low, so we'll never know how high it's actually going to go. But wherever the price zone is, where it's never going to return to, that's where you buy it. And I think we're still there right now.
Hey, I like that idea. I never actually thought about that. So basically what you're talking about there then is when you're looking at a chart, right? Something is cheap when you're able to think, hey, we have no idea how high it's going to go, but however high it does go, more than likely it's going to come back down to like this resistance level, or maybe this resistance level, or maybe this resistance level, right? But you can keep, the nice thing is as the prices go up, you can keep like upping that resistance level, so like if you were to say take Bitcoin for an example, you're like, hey, we're never going to see 20,000 again, and I don't have a chart in front of me, unfortunately, so I'm just going to kind of spitball some words here, right? But it hits 40,000, you're like, it's never going to come back down to 20,000, and then all of a sudden it hits like 60,000, you're like, hey, it's never going to come back down to 35,000, it hits kind of like that, and when you could kind of figure out, oh, this is still technically cheap, it's still technically cheap, and that's when you can keep pouring money into it.
This ain't a campfire story, dude. You are in an asymmetric time right now where if you believe in a 4-year cycle, which it's probably breaking as we speak, it's probably, until it does break, nobody knows, but you only have a time period between theoretically the top in the spring, the year after the halving. You only have that time period of 3 to 6 months before we're going to get there, which is right now where the prices are still bottomed out. You're at the last fleeting few, what do you want to call this, 10, 12, 16 weeks? It's not a campfire story, bud.
I have no idea what the future holds. I like to listen to everyone's stories.
I don't either, but I know the tax year ends on December 31st, and I know things like to break into the new in January, tending every year. So just saying, I know Christmas is right around the corner. I know this is like a time of year where people spend money. I'm just saying things like to go up in Q1, Q2. Not our system. Yeah. I'm talking other systems, but.
So actually, one of my tweets today, if Mrs. Producer will bring up my screen, I was kind of looking at this. So this ended up popping up for me where we were looking at the RSI. Now, obviously, I'm not a charts guy, so don't think like, oh, I know all the technical analysis. That's actually why I tagged Jay on this, and I wanted him to take a look at it and kind of comment on what it was I was seeing here. But what we're looking at the stock RSI right down here, he has his little predictor right here. And when you're looking at where he's circled, it's like, hey, this is kind of normal over here, right? It's the same sort of deal that I was looking at with the others chart, right? And so it tends to it goes up, hits a certain point, then it dips back down, and then continues on, and then it dips again, right? And then the same thing happened over here. And this one actually kind of had a little bit of a bump there and had 2 dips, but the point remains. Basically, what we're kind of looking at here and this is what I said right here. It looks like there's a possibility of March and April that could be the top of an RSI, right? AKA sort of like almost the top of the bull run, so to say, right? And to then pull back for the summer and then finally finish off with the absolute max top, so to say, in Q4 sometime, maybe earlier, maybe later of 2025. Now, if you are to believe the 4-year cycles and kind of how again with the chart right here about how these RSIs are kind of showing back in history and all of that, it kind of looks like that's going to be the normal thing here.
I will take your word for it. You guys with your charts. Another campfire story. I was just recently learning the art of storytelling and how to tell stories in such a way that people want to listen to them. And like ultimately, like I'm not a big TA fan. I think everyone probably knows that. I think that it's all just a bunch of knuckle bones and trailing indicators, and there's probably some people that use it and they do way better than I do, but for me it's just like it's mumbo jumbo magic that like might work, it might not. The patterns are good until they break, in which case it's like, oh well, I guess they're broken now. But
That's why
I
it's
just
all a
buy,
game.
and then I buy and then I sell it eventually, and we'll see where that gets me.
You're describing a game. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
games are meant to be broken, so that's
Yeah.
why the information asymmetry is what it is, and you protect what you know works until eventually it doesn't, and they all eventually break.
Yeah, and just like when you were talking about buying for the price that you don't think is going to get hit again, I do tackle that problem, and I think I've spoken about it quite a bit here on the Degen Roundtable, but it's worth repeating. The thing that I'm buying every single week is I'm buying T-shares. That's the thing that I'm chasing, because the T-share rate's always going up. And sure, I might be able to buy Hex again at some point, a lot cheaper than I am buying it right now. But I buy some Hex. I buy the same dollar amount of Hex every week, and then I stake it out Quattro Cinco. And then I buy that same dollar amount next week. And so like my T-share rate will fluctuate throughout like time. And so it's like, oh, a couple weeks ago I was getting like I was getting 5 times as many T-shares as I'm getting now. And it's like, well, those days are over for the time being. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I am still going to be buying and staking Hex while I am also selling it like later on. And I recognize that it's like, it's silly, but there's two different little mindsets that I have there. There's a short-term time period, and then there's the long-term time period. And I don't know what's going to be happening 15 years from now, but it doesn't cost a lot for me to just throw away like a small portion of change and be like, oh, well, I hope this thing's around 15 years from now. And like, if nothing else, I'm buying my continued like investment in the community every single week. It's like, oh, yep, I've extended the time that I'm stuck here for another 15.2 years. Oh, I've extended my time by another 15.2 years. And it's just like, well, I'm trapped here with you guys, so I might as well hang out, have a good time, and learn some shit while we're here. So that's the thing. That's the thing that I DCA into. And so like, as far as I'm concerned, like there is no price that's too high, and I'm going to be making I know for a fact that I'm going to be buying Hex way too expensive, but I'm staking it out 15 years. And it's just like I think about, and I don't know, like ever like the
It's
one
so
of the
bad.
narratives
It's
is
so
that
bad.
Hex is better than Bitcoin or something
No,
like
I'm
that.
sorry.
Hex,
You're no, not what you're talking about. You're good. You're fine.
yeah, but like the you're talking about your drink. Yeah.
Yes,
Like
it's so bad.
I'm curious to know what it is after I'm done with my little monologue here, but like you're more than welcome to suffer, and I'm going to be happy drinking my coffee and vodka. The I know that I'm going to be buying Hex way too expensive, and I'm going to be staking it way too expensive. But like that's expensive in like from now to 3 years from now, now to 4 years from now, now to 5 years from now. That's the metric that it's too expensive in. The metric that it might not be expensive in is 15.2 years from now. So who the fuck knows what the price is going to be? I'd be willing to bet that if there were Bitcoiners that were like, buying and selling when it was at like penny, sub penny, and they were selling on a 5x, they were selling on a 10x for like, bought it at a penny, sold at 10 cents, like, hooray, I'm doing great, and they might have made some life-changing wealth, or like at the very least been able to get some pizzas or something back then. But I think that like if I'm still consistently doing this thing that like even if I'm looking to become wealthy in the short term, I'm also looking to become wealthy in the long term. So I'm solving two different problems here. Is like the short term is like, hey, what's going to be the buying and the selling for this cycle, and the long term is like, oh, I'm just buying and throwing it away and not thinking about it ever again. So that's like that's my little strategy, and I don't know how well it'll work. It might all go to shit. We might, who knows? Everything might go to zero. But I'd be willing to bet that, like, because there's such a strong cult mentality, as Sami has been saying a whole lot recently. Shout out to that dude. Like, because there's such a strong cult mentality, and because so many people are ranting and raving about it, and because the green candles come and we go crazy and we go bonkers, and Twitter's like fucking flooded with a bunch of Hexkins like posting Hex love stuff, and it's just like, there's this rabid fan of marketers doing all this work to talk about this thing that they love, and it's getting eyeballs and it's getting attention, and it's the most hated coin. And if we're able to take that narrative, that campfire story of like, oh yeah, we were down 99.8 or 99.5 or whatever the hell the number was, we were down that percent, and now, you know, we're going back up again, or something crazy is happening. Like, you could have bought this dip and been this wealthy if you had done what we do. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff going on with that. So
I think the best way to rationalize it is think of your buys. Think of everything in crypto as an income streams, whether you're doing something for short as I want this money in the next 30, 90, 180 or year. What you're talking about, your T-shares, that's a long-term income stream. That's a long ways out. Yep. And whether you choose to, by that point, maybe you're so wealthy, you're like, you know, this was great 15 years ago, I'm just going to gift it. But I listened to Silver. Do you subscribe to Silver the Antidote? He was a guy from last cycle, kind of disappeared for a little while, but he's back, and he has extremely high quality content. And he had Crispy Man on there, and Crispy made a point. It stuck with me today when I was listening to it from last night. He said, we're in 15.2 year cycles with Hex. This isn't a 4-year cycle game. This is a 15-year cycle game. So I think that's the best way for you to think about when you're making these stakes, Will.
Yeah, that's a good point. The 15.2 year cycle.
Yeah. I mean, he's not wrong. He has the data to back it up too, to show that we are, at the very least, it's a 7.5 year cycle because your early in stake option. But it's probably right closer to a 15-year stake. The guys who lasted out will be happier that they did, just like guys who bought Bitcoin 2009, 2010.
Yep.
Happier they lasted out this long. We see all the time. We see the alerts go off. Hey, this wallet's been dormant since 2009. All of a sudden waking up.
Yep.
So
moving some stuff around, getting into Kraken. Go ahead.
You get a counterintuitive trend going on as well. Like when the price goes up, people will stake more. Like rationally, you should do it the other way around, right? When the price is low, you should buy and stake, right? And then when the price is high, you should think about taking profits. But I don't know, there's something about human psychology where people come in and they see the gains and they're like, how do I catch up? Oh, I should stake. And then they'll start staking. So yeah, it's a funny one, Hex.
That's literally how I got in. Yeah, that's super funny you mentioned that.
I was having a conversation last night. We were talking about LP providing. And I was like, I don't think it's a good idea anymore. And I got asked why. And I said, you're DCAing out of what's most valuable. And you still have the option, should it go extremely high, you still have the option to sell out. And you know that you're going into the year where things go exponential. If they are going to do it, they're going to do it next year. I said, I think staking is the best option for the next year. I said LP is the best option to when you're going down in price. That way you DCA into what you actually want. And you also get to capture the volatility and the length of time through the low areas, the sideways areas when you're LPing through those areas. So I was like, I think it's probably a better option just to stake right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, actually. In terms of LPing, well, I don't want to be moving into USDC or whatever. What's the point of that? The only thing that I'm LPing at the moment is I'm doing the Helgo farming. So it's like the leverage bet on Hex. And so then I'm just LPing between Helgo and Hex. And one is like a leverage bet on the other, right? So it's kind of like double betting on the Hex whilst getting 30% APY, which I like.
Yeah, those are good numbers. I'm not familiar with Helgo. Do you have an elevator like pitch explanation for it?
Yeah, actually, I haven't heard of that one either. I haven't seen it.
So it's I don't know if you guys know what QP is like. There's a private chat. We've got like Alex and a few other the guys in there, like from the first cycle.
I remember
And
hearing
it's
about Helgo.
ostensibly a meme coin that's based on this guy Helgo that used to turn up in the like old trading chat. He was like this Turkish guy. He'd come out with these like really comedic kind of ESL sentences, and he was a perfect bottom indicator. Like if he turned up chat like complaining, like please everybody buy Hex, you know, you'd know that you were near the bottom. Like it became like this infamous like signal. So anyway, like the you know, I was only tangentially involved really. I'm in the community, but I'm not one of the devs or anything. But so these guys they spawned a meme coin idea for it and then turned it into what we call a meme-fi. So it's like meme coining, but with some hidden DeFi going on.
How does could you explain how it works? Because I know nothing about it other than
Well, there's a white paper and all the tokenomics are explained because there is like some complexity to it, and I don't want to like start deep diving on that, spurging out.
Sure. That makes sense, yeah.
So if you just go to helgo.io, but the long and the short of it is it's a leverage bet on Hex that gives you like 30% APY.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't read it yet. Go read it on stream. Seriously, it's a hilarious white paper.
Okay.
How you?
It reads like a meme coin white paper.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a work of genius. I mean, I can't tell you who wrote it, but like he's a good guy.
1L.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. HELG.
I will sell all my Hex for 4 million Helgo.
I wouldn't recommend that.
I've got to the.
I lost funds in BSC projects. This is right on the front page.
Oh my god, this is a fun. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read this live at some point.
A lot of these are quotes from Helgo himself.
That is hilarious. Man, I love learning about culture. I love because this is a story, right? This isn't like I love stories. This is a story. This is good culture. This is like this. There's history here. There's use case here. There's fun here. This has all the good elements. It's good branding. Like I'm just like I can't look at it too much because I'm gonna get sucked into it and like I'll be stuck.
Yeah, it's the paper of white black edition.
Oh my god, this is fun. This is fun. We're gonna have to do a stream on this.
This is the fun
I read that thing like
Actually,
2.5, 3 years ago, and it's probably one of the most memorable white papers. It's good.
Okay.
Awesome. I'm gonna read that later. Actually, that'd be a fun Ascending Man stream. But here's one thing that I really love. I mean about this community, right? But I'm just gonna go ahead and say about this community in general here. So when you have like Solana and all that, obviously it's like, hey, you know, we want to. I like the picture, I like the meme, right? And so I'm going to invest in this coin or whatever. And there's that whole aspect of things, right? It's no longer about the technology. It's now about the culture. Okay. It's all about the tribalism. All right. Hey, I got my little tribe over here and this is a really fun place to be. And so I love it. Right. But when you move over into Pulse Chain, we're close knit enough where there are memes on like Helgo on Hex, right? This is a meme just making fun of Hex. There's a comedy, what do you call that? A comedy club here, you know? And so going back to the city analogy, okay, what does a city need? A city needs entertainment. I almost see like Tang Gang as almost like a circus, right? Because there's so much shit going on over there, and, and there's so much entertainment. yeah, exactly. And so, you know, in this particular case with Helgo, I'm just looking at it right away. I'm like, wow, this is a freaking comedy club over here where they're just making fun of the king. You know, it's like the Jester's Lair. So, you know, there's a lot of good things like that too that I keep noticing. It's this, man, Pulse Chain is just a lot of fun, guys. I just love this. I love this chain.
Well, that's how you know you've got something that's going to last. Is you get that lore, right? Yeah, like if you have like games that go on for ages and they get like canon lore and all, you know, that kind of good stuff. Like, yeah, we're just developing that. It's good. We've got stickiness.
You know, it's good when you can make fun of yourself.
Yes. Oh man, this is too good. All right, I gotta stop. I gotta stop looking at this. All right, fucking back to this. Back to this conversation. Back to what we are. Back to what we are talking about. I'm gonna do a quick little. Oh my god. So I don't know if you guys saw this earlier, but Just Live, Mrs. Producer, can you pull up what Just Live posted 3 comments ago back at 8:57? Actually, I don't know if you are. Oh, yes, there we are. Dollar goes to zero. I will open up a pizza shop that takes Hex. This is outstanding. This is something to think about, guys. When we all go to Hexico, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna be hiring people to do all our work for us and paying them in Hex, or are we gonna be hiring each other? Is it gonna be like oh shoot, Atlas Shrugged, where all the wealthy people leave the society and they go do their own thing and they make their own little like super cool awesome creators and providers like little zone where everyone builds their own house and they all do business with each other. I can't remember the name of that. I'm gonna have to read Atlas Shrugged. But like are we going to all be hanging out over there? Are we going to be interacting in the regular world? Are we all just going to move up to Finland or maybe down to Croatia or perhaps off to Madagascar, or even maybe we go take over Antarctica and turn that into Hexico? I mean, that'd be pretty cool. But like people are going to have to do things over there. Like there's going to have to be jobs. We're going to have purpose. We're going to like, we can't just all be living in Hexico, all streaming, you know. We don't need heaters because all of our computers are running 24/7 and all of our graphics cards are heating up the space everywhere. So like, what is everyone going to do in Hexico? What are we going to do once we have all our riches? Are we going to like use our riches to figure out what is our passion in life and basically operate hobbies until they turn lucrative? Like, are we going to all go and work at the Sens Foundation like Richard Hart wants us to do and basically donate and become medical researchers to make life last longer? What have you guys thought about this? What are you going to do if you become independently, or like even if you are already independently wealthy? Like, what happens with the time once the money is no longer a problem of survival or anything? I want to open this up to anyone who's got a thought on that.
It sounds like you're going to be on an island, so I'll just go get my pilot's license. That way, I'll be the Amazon pipeline. I'll just run Amazon back and forth for everybody.
All right, excellent. So
Yeah, I like that one. The thing that I look at is like at this point, like you need to stop thinking in dollar terms, because if we were to go to Antarctica, and I like the idea of going to Antarctica because that just sounds fun to me. So we go to Antarctica, we turn that into Hexico. Fuck the rest of the world. That's our island, our continent, right? So yeah, we go there, right? And we're starting up the Pulse Chain City in real life. And what's going to end up happening is like Hex, Pulse, just all these tokens and everything is then going to become our currencies. The currency is the same thing as the dollar, right? Now, how exactly are we going to work that? I don't know. But ultimately, we're going to be providing services. We're going to be doing things and able to receive a payment in Hex. Let's go ahead and just make it simple, right? So, I mean, that's essentially the idea that you're asking right now. Okay, so first off, nobody's going to be retired if we do make our own country, okay? That's the first thing to say. But the second thing is the idea of retirement. The idea of retirement used to be you no longer have to work. But what you find from retirees is that they want to do something. It is human nature to do something, right? There's always a purpose involved. And so even if we're retired, you're still working. You're still looking to work. It's just different types of work, right? For me, I've got several different things that I want to do, right? That I would rather do than have to wake up and then report to a boss. Okay. I could be my own boss and go do the things that I want to do, but I'm still working. All right. So now that we've gotten all that straightened out, okay, then the idea is kind of like what Paul Sachs just said. He's like, hey, you know, I love flying planes. And so what I would want to do is I'd want to be like the delivery guy basically for the whole island. And I would just bring over I'd be Hexico's Amazon, right? I'd be the delivery guy for that. And that's pretty neat, right? Heck, I could be my own boss with the whole pest control. Hey, I'll, you know, for however much Hex, you know, I'll come over and I'll spray your house and I'll take care of all these disgusting insects that are probably all going to be new species or very old species that have been resurrected by the time everything melts. But, you know, that's hearsay. I have no clue how to get rid of these things. Yeah, right. But yeah, you know, truthfully, I think I'd probably, if nothing else, I would probably be Yeah, I'd probably be in entertainment, to say the truth. Whether that's like just kind of in the backfield, putting on shows, or just being part of the shows myself, but I think that'd be some kind of, I'd be in the entertainment business and people would come to my shows.
Simon, do you have thoughts? Would you be doing developer stuff? Would you be a historian, a teacher, perhaps?
Oh, is this like a hypothetical thing for Hexaco, or what I actually plan to do?
Sure. Well, like, however you want to answer the question, broski.
I mean,
It's a campfire story without the campfire right now. Okay.
But hypothetically, if there were a Hexaco, I would like to be Richard's chief vizier or something. I could be like the court magician. That'd be cool.
Oh, okay. The wise man, the miracle maker, stuff like that. That'd be cool. So like so essentially teaching and offering insights, kind of.
Yeah, trying to tell Richard how not to be stupid for the nth time, because I think someone needs to do that, right? And I don't mind thinking about behind the scenes just to keep them in line. So I've got you covered, guys.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. We need a Richard handler.
we gotta bring up Just Live's comment here. This is hilarious as all hell.
The most recent one.
The build handheld EMPs.
Ah.
There we go.
Handheld EMPs to take down Skynet.
That's what Will lives in a Faraday cage, right?
Oh shit.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, I think I don't know a whole lot about EMPs. I know that it's like breaks electronics by frying circuits and stuff, but
yeah, electromagnetic pulses, basically you excite the atoms and they bounce off each other like this, and then it disrupts the electrons, which ultimately just kind of like basically just blows them up. And so like any type of electrical anything gets either A, completely disrupted, or B, literally explodes.
Huh. Fry the electronics, I guess. That would be a thing to do. I want to know who's gonna be like the grilled cheese salesman. Who's gonna be making the grilled cheeses in Hexaco? Who's gonna be the plumber? Who's gonna be the HVAC guy? Who's gonna be the carpenter? Who's gonna be the like all the good stuff? I think it'd be cool if we all like built our own houses and stuff. So perhaps we all need to go subscribe to my brother's Bungalows for Bachelors YouTube show and learn how to build houses and things. But I think that like they're like being surrounded by competent individuals that are capable of doing just about anything, or knowing who to hire to do just about anything. I think that would be pretty important. All right, guys, we're gonna do a quick little. We're a little bit past our normal 2-hour streaming time, so I'm gonna go ahead and aim to wrap up here. Let's get some final thoughts in, and then we'll also tell the folks what we have going on in the near future and where can the folks find whomever we might be. So I've got some thoughts. My thoughts are, I hope that everyone's doing well down in Florida right now, and I am super glad that there is education that allows us to take our kids' instruction into our own hands. I really like all the things that we talked about today. So like I just super grateful to have all of you here on the panel. Super awesome that like the Degen Roundtable exists, and I'm in a very thankful mood right now. So thanks for being here, everyone. And as far as where can the folks find me, you guys can get all of my socials and all of my you can do the very best you want to stalk me at will.pls.fyi. That's where all of my stuff is not hidden at. It's broadcast and live. You guys can find me. I'm fully doxxed and all sorts of good stuff. As far as what's going on in the near future for me is on Friday, we are doing book club, and we're going to be covering The Value of Others, which is a book about relationships with people. So you guys can look forward to that 2 days from now. We're going to be that's going to be happening at 8 p.m. Eastern here live on the Degen Roundtable. Sunday we have a news show, and then next Wednesday I'm not sure what's going on for the Degen Roundtable, so stay tuned. Mr. Nate McGettit-Broski, where can the folks find you? What are your final thoughts, and what have you got going on in the near future?
Yeah, so actually the near future is going to be tomorrow. I'm going to be getting on excuse me. I'm going to be getting on X Spaces with Robert from Guinea. We're going to go over it's kind of funny the way that this worked out, because I have a couple of different streams that I'm doing tomorrow. I will not be doing the Ascending Tech show, right? However, I may do that either Monday or Tuesday. We'll see. But yeah, instead, what I'm going to be doing is basically ascending tech on X Spaces with Robert, because he invited me to come talk to everybody and just kind of give my insights about the technology, about this AI driven coin, right? So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be right around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, right? But then almost immediately after that, I'm going to be joined by this guy right here, and we're going to be going and doing
Ramon,
crypto conspiracy. Yes, crypto conspiracy. And we are going to be talking about conspiratorial stuff. And I think we're specifically going to want to talk about the HARPA and like controlled weather and all that, which by the way is very interesting. If you look at specifically how you'll have to remind me of the name of the hurricane, but how the hurricane is moving exactly over Florida. And then there's a bunch of tornadoes popping up in a lot of places where it just happens to be really strong supporters of Trump. Right before the election. Strange. Anyways, you can find us there, and that's going to be 8 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Yes.
And so yeah, you can find us there. I did actually ask him to move it back 1 hour simply because that would work better for us. So I don't know if he's going to do that or not. So stay tuned, right? But yes, absolutely. Go subscribe to that, dude. It's actually really cool because, I mean, even though they're just campfire stories, conspiracies can be a lot of fun to just speculate on. Is it happening? Is it not? What's all these weird correlations? Connect the dots. It can be a lot of fun, guys. Okay, so now join up, have a lot of fun, right? Maybe get some drinks because it makes it a lot funner if you have drinks, right? With that being said, absolutely, positively, follow me on my X, right? Like I said, because I had the entire day off and I was literally stuck to the chair because of my broken foot. I put out a lot of information. We went through some of the information just on here, and just from the stuff that we put on here, you can already tell that, like, if you go through my stuff and you actually look at what it is I'm putting out there, plus I'm putting out my opinion of what you're looking at, so you're able to kind of get into my head a little bit too. It's going to be helping you a lot. It's something you definitely want to be. You want to be following me just simply because, hey, this is going to help you out quite a bit. With that all being said, I think that's everything. Yeah, that's everything. Other than that, just, hey, get into our Telegram. If you're not on our Telegram, you are missing out, absolutely. Because what happens when we're nearing the top and you're all euphoric and I'm like, it's gonna go forever, and then people like me are gonna be like, yeah, it's looking like maybe it's time to exit. And then, oh no, you didn't join our Telegram. And a year later, you're starting to feel bad now because of the red candles. And meanwhile, I'm like, nice, that was an awesome bull run, guys. How do the rest of you feel about that? And everyone in our Telegrams will be like, wow, we all made it. Yay. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I am going to go ahead and move it over to the next guy, next to kin over here. Simond, what do you got going on? And yeah, shield your shit, man. Let's go.
Yeah, so you can find me The Gaming Project. I'm also a level 99 Anglo poster in the private chats and the general side chats. So if you need some high level Anglo posting, I'm always about. But yeah, primarily I'm working on the gaming raise, right? And like the gaming studio, like for marketing and pumping the prices via direct messaging to millions of gamers. So that's the goal at the moment. And if you want to know more about that, just go to wonderwolf.io. Come join us in the Telegram. Yeah, I've got some like explainer videos coming out this week. We got AI chatbots going on to the website, so you can quiz the website. So if you're scared of talking to human beings, that's fine. Most human beings are annoying. So if you wanna if you wanna just speak to an AI about it, you can ask the AI. Apparently, some people prefer that. And yeah, I'll be on plenty of streams, and you'll see a lot more of me, I hope. So thank you, guys.
Excellent. Glad to have you here, Mr. Simon. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Paul Sachs, where can the folks find you? Final thoughts, and what have you got going on in the near future, amigo?
Find me at paulsachs_win. And Nate, if people do, like Sami talked about it here recently, but set up a separate wallet for it. If you're wrong, you can at least at the whatever happens in April or May next year, if something does and it goes up and you're really excited, but you don't want to exit out of all your stack because you're like, There hasn't ever been a top except for Q4. Every time it's in Q4, but I just don't know. You have a separate wallet that you can go take profits and be somewhat happy. You have, so that's my only advice.
That is actually something I'm glad you hit on that, because that is something that I've had to talk to a lot of people about. It's a mindset thing. It's basically like this. I put in $20,000 into the market, right? And then it goes up to $1 million and I pull out on that $1 million, but then it heads up to where I could have had 10 million. Oh no, I only got $1 million. Oh, I only turned 20,000 into $1 million instead of 10 million. Do you you're going to feel bad over the 10 million, but do you actually feel bad over turning 20,000 into $1 million? That's something you actually have to think about. The mindset, hey, I actually did do this. And even though I took out too early, I still succeeded.
Yeah, that's huge amount for the average person. You bought a lot of time back. You have a lot of go fuck off and figure out what you want to do next.
Well, also, I mean, we've got a lot of dilution in altcoins, right? So how many altcoins do you know that have the cult status? They have a massive market maker that already have a kind of strong meme brand as well. Like, name those altcoins. There aren't many. You're looking at like 10 maybe, and that's if you're being generous. So 50x's, 100x's, they don't grow on trees these days. So yeah, we all remember that we're in a position of advantage. It's like being an ambush hunter. We've just got to wait for the
I don't know if
market to
anyone's
come
talking
across.
right now. I apologize if I'm interrupting, but my computer has frozen.
Simon was talking.
Will's like proper booth.
Sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, it's good. I'm saying like we're in a position of advantage, like compared to most altcoins, not just in terms of the community, not just in terms of like the innovation, like the stuff that's being built on Pulse Chain, but just in terms of having a market maker and like having a brand. We aren't subject to a lot of the dilution that most altcoins are going to be subject to. And when we start moving, as we already have started moving, people aren't going to have many other places to go for those altcoin gains. Most altcoin gains are going to be trash like this cycle, in my humble opinion. So yeah, we have a position of advantage, and we just need to wait, like the leopard, for the market to come to us. And at some point it will.
Excellent. And speaking of things coming to us, we're going to finish up the show with some final chat shoutouts, because we've had some people pour in whilst we were going through the very end of the show. So final chat shoutouts, and then I'm reading the copyright and getting us out of here. Gentlemen, if you would like to stay after the end credits is rolled, we will do a debrief in the green screen and we'll shoot the shit and have fun. And then we'll carry on with our merry lives and things. But before we do that, Mrs. Producer, would you be so kind as to bring up these chats? So we've got Mr. Beyond All saying Hex is meant to be staked, not used as a maximum, or I think he meant medium of exchange. Let's burn it out of existence to raise it in Quattro Cinco, Triple Cinco, or Double Cinco. I agree, sir. Hex is not meant as a medium of exchange. So replace Hex with whatever we decide is going to be the medium of exchange, and we're all wealthy sitting on our Hex and using other less valuable things to trade back and forth and up and down and all that good stuff. So good to see you, Mr. Beyond All. Thank you for popping in. Next up, we got Mr. Tintop, who is going to be catching us on the replay. Shout out to you, Tintop. What's up, Hexicans? What's up to you too, sir? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Always glad to have our favorite tin-topped Mandalorian with us in here. And then finally, we've got the one and only Daniel Robar. Another great stream, guys. Thank you, good sir. It's been a pleasure having you. And we appreciate all the company that you guys all give us. All right, so that being said, we're here not to give you guys some financial advice, but I want to thank you all for spending your valuable time with us here on the Degen Roundtable. As Agent J often says, we know that time is your most precious advocate, and we appreciate you investing it here, right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Degen Roundtable. My name is Will Stevenson. Mrs. Producer, go ahead and get that trigger figure ready, because it's time to remind all the folks at home to remember to Degen responsibly.